Back here at Kentucky Speedway, as you can see, the times getting ready for opening ceremonies. And if you look around the racetrack, you'll notice that it is now completely in shade as we get ready to fall into the evening hours, and the temperature is going to drop. They're predicting as low as 60 degrees as we get into the evening of this race. Total of 200 laps tonight, but before we go racing, of course, we want to pay tribute. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Boone County Sheriff's Department presents our nation's colors. NASCAR fans, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence as we remember those that lost their lives and their families at the tragic shootings earlier this week at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. Thank you. Please remain standing as Pastor Larry Campbell of Raceway Ministries offers tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. Our Father, we love you, Lord, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Father, our hearts are heavy over the tragedy there in Washington, D.C. And Lord, we just ask your blessings upon the families that lost loved ones there in that horrible day this past week. Father, just comfort them with your love. Father, we thank you for this wonderful night you gave us. We thank you for the opportunity to be here to enjoy this race. And Father, we just ask for safety upon everyone that's here, the drivers, the crews, the fire and safety people, and the fans. Father, give us a safe night, and we just love you and thank you for the opportunity to be here and for all the blessings you give to us. And all God's people said, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Jennifer DePalma, Brent Dersch, and Lori Heltzley, members of the country band Jameson Road.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets rang glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So now it's time for all the drivers to climb into the office. Get ready to do a little business. A total of 200 laps, 300 miles here at Kentucky Speedway. We go green when we come back. Back here at Kentucky Speedway, a great shot of Eric McClure, his second race back after having some serious health problems with renal failure a few weeks ago, and it's always good to see him back in the 14. Sam Hornish get behind the wheel of the points leading number 12 as he'll be on pole tonight. And as we get ready to come up back here in the booth, I want to talk a little bit about Sam, because we found out today that as of right now, he does not have a contract with anyone for next year. The funding right now is not there for another year in Nationwide. But you don't seem to be hitting the panic button, and neither is Sam.
No, I don't see any reason to. If you're 7th, 8th, 9th in points, then there's reason for concern. But you're leading the points with 7 races to go. You're a qualified driver. You've got a balance of talent and experience I think that Sam Hornish is in the prime of his NASCAR career, and he's going to be a great addition for someone if he doesn't stay at Penske Racing.
Shifting over to the man second in the points, though, Austin Dillon. We know where he's going to be. He drives for his grandfather's team.
Yeah, and he has earned the opportunity to be excited about what's ahead. He has to focus on finishing the job here. And in other words, he's headed to Sprint Cup. We know that, and he's worthy of that opportunity. But he's got some unfinished business, and having that championship on your resume is something you want, if not just right now, but 20 years from now when you look back at how you handled your career. And again, the sweet spot for this young driver's 1.5 mile tracks. He's got to capitalize.
We also need to point out there was some heavy rain going through the area last night. It washed off all the rubber. And then the ARCA race, which was postponed until earlier today, they run on Hoosier tires. So we've got a different type of tire on the track.
That's right. Of the 200 laps, the first 10, 15, or 20 could set you up for failure. Drivers need to be careful not to give too much information in those first 15 or 20 laps because it's going to be skewed a little bit with this rubber down on the track. Once it cleans up and the Goodyear rubber gets into the track, then drivers can give better information and crew chiefs can adjust for these conditions, but don't get too excited too early about the track conditions.
No Kyle Busch, no Joey Logano, no Brad Keselowski. Who's going to win this race tonight? Who's your #1 pick?
I think Sam Hornish is in a great position. He's been lightning fast. I see an extra added confidence in him. He looks relaxed there as he takes a belly on. But listen, this track sets up first-time winners. 2006, you had David Gill. In 2007, Stephen Light. 2008, Joey Logano. And, of course, 2012, Austin Dillon. This track, for whatever reason, favors young, inexperienced drivers.
So in that group, who would you pick?
Well, Brian Scott's ready. I mean, you just listen to his voice. He's got that boost in his step, and he's proven last month he's ready.
All right, so there you have it. We're pretty well set, and that means it's about time for us to go trackside to get ready and fire the engines for tonight's race. Race number 27 on the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Kentucky Speedway. Let's get it going.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome racing legend and 4-time winner here at Kentucky Speedway, Frank Kimmel.
Kentucky, are you ready? I want you guys to help out. On 3, 3, 2, 1. Drivers, start your engines.
Crank them up, Hank. Crank them up.
Light it up.
Start it up when you're ready. Cranking that gear. 30.
Appropriate that Frank Kimmel gives the command. He will clinch his 10th ARCA title in Kansas in 2 weeks. And congratulations to him. Our in-race reporter is Brian Scott. There he is. And we'll talk to him when we come back to Kentucky Speedway. Back here at Kentucky Speedway, the cars begin their way out of pit road and onto the racetrack as we're getting ready for race number 27 of the 2013 schedule. Our in-race reporter is Brian Scott. He's going to be starting 4th tonight. Let's talk to him, Ricky Craven.
Brian Scott, Ricky Craven in ESPN booth. You got me?
Poor Ricky.
Hey, Brian, I was talking with your crew earlier. Said you got the same car you nearly won with in the Brickyard. Finished 2nd. What's that worth to you?
Man, anytime you got a car in these Nationwide Insurance Series races that you're comfortable with and you have a past history of, especially almost winning in Indy, that was a pretty special moment for us. It gives me a lot of confidence to go out there, push this vehicle hard. I know it can take it and do what I can do to get this short launch from to the front, try to get this team in victory lane.
Yeah, Brian, you've had a great month, done a great job. And our mailbag question this week comes from Enzo in Avon, Indiana. After your near win at Richmond, how close do you think you are to getting that first win?
About 200 laps away.
I love it. Listen, good luck to you, and hope you get that birthday gift for your daughter.
You guys, thank you everybody for watching. Hope we put on a good race for you.
All right, let's check in on our over-the-wall reporter tonight. He's the front tire carrier for the number 77 at Parker Kligerman. There's Michael Riggs. Hey, Michael, final standalone race for the Nationwide Series. No Cup heavy hitters. So not only a big opportunity for the drivers, but a big opportunity for you guys on pit road as well, isn't it?
It is. This is the last non-companion race for the Nationwide Series. There's not going to be a lot of Cup guys on pit road, especially since they're focused on the chase. For Nationwide regulars like myself, this is our last chance to take advantage of their absence.
All right, buddy, you to be safe down there. You guys have a great race.
Thanks.
Let's check in on our 8 onboard cameras. You already know that Brian Scott's got the Nationwide Insurance on board as our in-race reporter. Austin Dillo with the Advocare on board. Trevor Bain, Nationwide Insurance camera. Sam Hornish Jr. with the Goodyear onboard camera. Brian Vickers has the Toyota camera. Ryan Blaney with the Ford EcoBoost camera. Justin Allgaier in the Chevy onboard, and Parker Kligerman in the Sunoco onboard camera. Time to get our last-minute updates from pit road. First up is Mike Massaro.
You know, reflecting back on the race here in June, Sam Hornish Jr.'s crew chief Greg Irwin said it was their worst race all season on pit road. He felt like they lost stops, or lost positions rather, on every pit stop. He even takes some of the blame himself, saying they made a 4-tire change at the end when they should have only taken 2, or perhaps even fuel only. They gave away a lot of track position on that stop. With just 7 races remaining in this championship battle, though, Irwin knows mistakes like that cannot afford to be made. The 12 team looking for a perfect night on pit road this evening in their quest for the 2013 Nationwide Championship. Rick DeBrule.
Well, Austin Dillon feels like it's on his shoulders, and rightfully so. He's done so well at this track. 3 times he's qualified on the pole, although tonight he didn't do it. He's on the 2nd row, but he's not in a bad position. He qualified 3rd, and the great part about this, directly ahead of him, well, who can he see on that track but Sam Hornish, the guy he is competing with for this championship. Almost so close you can touch him. Now, the secret for him tonight is going to be able to try to watch that car and figure out how to dial his car in so he can get to the lead of the pack. The problem is it's a little bit cooler than it has been. So the question is, how does he dial in? How does he take control to get this race and get that victory that he has not had this year? Jim Noble?
Well, Rick, we've been talking about it all night long. Kyle, Brad, Joey, they're in New Hampshire. They better be watching this broadcast. But there are no Cup stars to come and steal the Nationwide candy tonight. So in terms of a possible first-time winner, we offer you Kyle Larson. He's got plenty of speed in that 32 car. You know he's got the talent. How about possibly that first Nationwide win before he goes racing on Sundays next year? Guys?
All right, now I wish I could tell you we were going to go green next time by, but we have just been informed by NASCAR. We talked about the heavy rain that we had overnight. Well, we now have some weepers where water is literally coming up from underneath the track. There is one of the areas. It's right along the front straightaway here, so they're going to add at least 1 or 2 more laps while they try and dry this out. That gives us an opportunity to step aside. We'll get a break out of the way. Hopefully we'll get the track completely dry and we'll go green here in Kentucky. Back here at Kentucky Speedway, where in the background you probably hear the sound of the jet dryers as we have a series of weepers. As the temperature has dropped, the best explanation that was given to me is that, of course, the asphalt contracts and it forces the water up through the cracks, and that's exactly what's happening right now. It gives us an opportunity to listen in on Trevor Bain's radio as they were getting ready.
Team does not have an ounce of quit, an ounce of give up. It's all about fight, perseverance, and that's what today's made out of. We'll find out at the end of the night what we got. You're going to drive smart and hard for 200 laps, and you're going to give us really good information at the beginning of this thing. You're going to pick that car apart. You're going to let us know what we've done to make it better or make it worse. Let's go get them.
And that is Mike Kelly with the words of inspiration. Let's find out what the other crew chiefs down on pit road are talking about. How about it, Mike Massaro?
Yeah, Greg Irwin not only has the championship leader, but he's also got the pole sitter in the likes of Sam Hornish. But what you have to deal with here are some intangible factors. Very little practice this weekend, somewhat of a green racetrack. What are you expecting?
Well, the first thing that we've really worked hard on, the 12 team is doing a better job of correcting the things that we had going wrong with our car in the first race. And I think as a team, we're getting better doing that. Sam's doing a better job of getting us the information that we need. And truthfully, we're going to go a little bit on a green racetrack here. We're going to sit on top of that arc of rubber a little bit. So it's probably going to take 50 laps or so to get the track good and comfortable to where the drivers can give their guys good feedback. So we got that competition caution at lap 25, give everybody a good opportunity to adjust on their cars, and hopefully we can put this Alliance Truck Parts Mustang in victory lane tonight.
Let's head on over now to Rick DeBrule.
Standing by with Jeremy Bullins, the crew chief on the number 22 car, the other Penske car. All right, you've won with this car with 3 drivers, but those were all Cup regulars. What's it going to take to get this guy into victory lane tonight?
Well, Ryan's not a Cup regular, but he's a very talented driver, and we've got all the confidence in the world that he'll do a good job for us tonight. Really, for us, it's about executing the race and making sure we're on the right strategy at the right time, and we think we'll be fine.
All right, we know this car can do it. Jim Noble?
Well, Rick, Phil Gould is the crew chief for Brian Scott. Brian, in the absence of all the Cup stars this weekend, said a win here could be career-changing for him. What would a win mean for you?
Oh, it would mean everything. Our Sure Large Camaro's been really fast since we unloaded off the truck, especially after our struggles last week. We've struggled in general on 1.5 mile tracks, this two car, and we kind of threw out the notebook and started over, and it's been good so far. So I'm excited to get the race going.
All right, guys, we're about to go green, it sounds like.
The jet dryer has been moved out of the way, and the pace car has just turned off the lights as it crossed the start-finish line, which means 1 lap to go until we go green. Talking to the 12th team earlier today, they unloaded. They loved the setup. They tweaked it just a little. They took the winning setup from the 22 from earlier this year here at Kentucky. And as you heard, they're just going to go with the flow.
I tell you what, the body language of the team, the driver, the crew chief, it smells, looks, walks a lot like championship to me. And I tell you something about Greg Irwin. He is very good at self-evaluating. You notice he didn't duck any of this in the previous race at Kentucky, where they felt like they underachieved. They didn't have the greatest strategy. Learned from it, critical of themselves, and they've come back better for it.
And in case you're tuning in late, 3 cars had to go to the rears for unapproved adjustments after qualifying. The 18 of Joey Coulter, the 31 of Justin Allgaier, and the 33 of Matt Crafton. So 3 pretty doggone good drivers are going to be fighting their way from the back of this field. And remember what Kyle Larson did last week at Chicagoland. Well, he started 39th, got all the way back up into the top 10 until he had that tire issue that put him into the wall.
Early on, Marty, I expect the middle lane to be dominated by the drivers. I don't see the high line coming in immediately, but I think it'll be an option late. It's going to need to make big adjustments as this track continues to cool, and the cars will get looser and looser as the night goes along.
Sam Hornish Jr. had the choice. He has decided to go to driver's right, the high side, as they come out of turn number 4. The pace car has turned down, so strap in, because race number 27 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series for 2013, the Kentucky 300, is green.
Sam had a lot of speed off of turn 2, carries that speed down the backstretch, clears the 22, and goes to business here, goes to work, focusing on the racetrack, hitting his marks.
Brian Scott in the 2 car, followed closely by the 3, and he's actually giving him a push. Austin Dillon really nudging the 2, and now moves to the inside.
It's a reflection of Austin Dillon's personality inside the race car. He's very aggressive. He's very good on restarts, certainly gotten better in a very short time. Not afraid to use the bumper. In this case, it's okay on the straightaways, but the bumps can challenge a driver trying to line up the bumper and the front and rear bumper.
And when we go on board, that'll show you the bumps probably better than anything as far as the way the cars are moving all over this racetrack.
It's uncomfortable all the way around, but it becomes even more uncomfortable if you're under another car on corner entry.
We saw Travis Pastrana in 5th, Drew Herring in 6th, Parker Kligerman in 7th.
Talked to Drew Herring, talked to Brian Blaney in length, and both of them are so excited about the opportunity tonight. We look down through the field here. This is such a great opportunity for these nationwide regulars.
Did you see Brad Sweet in the 5? He got so loose.
Somebody just got a piece of the wall there, Marty. Looks like Nelson Piquet Jr. has some trouble on the exit of 4.
Piquet Jr. is slowed. He's on the high side of the track there. Now it looks like he's trying to get more speed back up, but now still a number of cars are going by.
Yeah, he's got enough damage that, you know, he needs to be careful. He's going to use the next couple of turns to feel out the car, see what he has or doesn't have. But oh, I tell you, you do that kind of damage to the car and you've given up 10-20% of the overall downforce.
He was 11th at the time, and you could see the damage on the right side there. And aerodynamically, that's awful.
Yeah, it is. It's going to have to be repaired. So the objective right now is to not lose a lap. Try to at least get to lap 25, take advantage of the competition caution to do the repairs.
Check in on the battle for 5th. As you got Parker Klingerman and then the 20 of Vickers. And there's Jeb Burton in the 34. And we should point out that is for 9th on the track. 8th, 9th, 10th.
Jeb Burton said, you know, everybody's expecting a top 15 would be satisfying. Nah, I want a top 10. I really like what I've seen out of that young man.
He's had a very good season over on the truck side.
Oh, you know, you're getting old when you can count the number of drivers in the field with both hands that you watched growing up playing with your kids. That's the case with Jeb Burton, Ryan Blaney, on and on and on.
His dad Ward here this weekend as well. Former Daytona 500 winner.
Ward's a mentor to his son, and he was a good racer. As well as his uncle, Jeff.
Here comes Regan Smith. And boy, does he need a big night here on the 1.5 miles of Kentucky. He has never scored a top 5. Do you find that bizarre?
Well, I think that obviously you're going to win the championship. You need to perform on these 1.5 mile tracks because they're abundant. And just speaks volumes to not have a top 5, 26 races into the season on 1.5 mile tracks. That tells you why he's not leading the standings.
The 30 still trying to hang on, Jim Noble. What are you hearing down in the pits?
Well, Marty, absolutely. Nelson Piquet Jr. just radioed in and said there is smoke in the cockpit of that 30 car. They definitely have a tire rub, damage on the right rear, but he has been told, try to make it to the competition caution on lap 25.
Now, this is exactly what his teammate did, the 32. They kept him out there last week with Kyle Larson. He had a tire rub, and they ended up putting him in the wall.
This is where, if you're a driver, you wish it was the way it was back in Indy 80 years ago, where the crew chief had to ride with you, because then the crew chief wouldn't be telling you just ride it out. You know, I mean, it's really difficult to lose 20 miles an hour, smell the smoke, know you could be into the wall in any second.
Well, there is first and second. As you can see, Sam Hornish Jr. has opened up a 9/10 of a second lead over Brian Scott. And again, remember, we got that competition caution at lap 25. Checking the calendar, we've got the AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals with qualifying 11:30 Eastern tonight right here on ESPN News. And then the finals at 8:30 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. Of course, chase race number 2, Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire at 1 Eastern tomorrow. That's on ESPN. On ESPN2 at 1, you can watch the American Le Mans Circuit of the Americas. And our next stop, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern from Dover, the NASCAR Nationwide Series in action. Right now, it's been all Sam Hornish, 1.4 seconds the race lead, as it is Brian Scott, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and Travis Pastrana has moved into the top 5. Our biggest mover of the race is that 31 car of Justin Allgaier. He has picked up 22 positions, has moved into the 17th spot, and has got his sights set on Alex Bowman right now. And right behind him is Matt Crafton, who also was sent to the rear for some unapproved adjustments. And Joey Coulter is just a few more spots back in 22nd spot. So those were the 3 that went to the rear and are fighting their way back, Mr. Craven.
Yeah, and along the theme of RCR, Austin Dillon is the fastest car on the track right now. Matt Crafton says he's got a car capable of winning. And Brian Scott says he's, before the start of the race, 200 laps from winning his first race. There is an abundance of confidence in that trio of drivers. And they're going to have something to say about who wins this race. And Sam Hornish has gotten off to a strong start, Marty, but he's going to have to contend with each of these three before the night's out.
Boy, look at the way that car just bounces all over the track. Now, I know that if you're not an avid race fan, you're saying, wait a minute, that doesn't look like it's bouncing that much. But these guys are trying to keep that front end just glued, aren't they?
They are, and keep in mind that you're strapped in. You can see Sam a little tight there, lapping the 79 car. But you're strapped in really tight with these belts. You feel every little crack on the racetrack, and you absolutely feel, and in some cases are punished by the big bumps on these tracks. And what you need to do is rehearse them. It's not that important all by yourself, but when you're in traffic, when you're racing another car, and you can see these cars move around, you need to rehearse where these bumps are, because you do not want to put yourself in a compromising position. And where that really comes into play is as you go into the corner, 180 miles an hour into turn 1 or turn 3, you turn the wheel and hit a bump. You hit a bump with the wheels turned, it's going to snap the back of the car loose.
We're working lap 20 at 200, and Sam Hornish Jr. has already lapped up through position number 30. 29 cars right now on the lead lap. Jamie Dick and Jeffrey Earnhardt were the last two to go a lap down. Nelson Piquet Jr., remember, he hit the wall. He's still out there. He is one lap down, running in 33rd position. We have 5 cars off the track: DeBenedetto, Carl Long, TJ Bell, Blake Cook, and Jeff Green. Third place, Austin Dillon. You want to get an idea just how rough this is?
It's actually rougher on the low side of 1 and 2, and it's rough on the high side of 3 and 4. Even the front stretch comes into play. The back stretch is the only relief. The back stretch is relatively smooth.
Now we're about 3 laps away from the NASCAR competition caution, and that is because of the heavy rains last night.
Ryan Blaney doing a great job running 4th.
Boy, and Austin Dillon has closed up on the number 2 of Brian Scott.
And you might think to yourself, why would you push hard 23 laps into the race knowing you're going to have a caution with 2 to go? Well, if you come onto pit road 2nd or 3rd, you got a much better chance of leaving 1st. Right now, he's 3rd. Ryan Blaney 4th.
Richard Childress Racing Machines were the fastest in practice.
What's the value of confidence, Marty? I've always said it's worth more than 50 horsepower. It's, you know, it makes the car handle that much better, because what it does, a confident driver is a more tolerant driver. A confident driver will put up with a car that's not perfect, a car that's a little uncomfortable on corner entry. A confident driver will work harder and complain less. I might have been the exception to that rule.
Look at the way these cars are dancing around. Brian Scott hits the bumps. You can see what it does to the back end of the car.
It does. It really illustrates how difficult this is, even by yourself, but it's compounded when you get to a car. You need to keep the air on the front of your car to create that downforce. And you see Ryan Blaney get loose right there.
Oh, and Blaney almost got the wall.
And I really believe that was a product of catching the 3. He might be cleaning off his tires now because he got so high, and we get that competition caution.
So the caution comes out. Everybody will slow down, and they'll get a chance to check the tire wear. And we should point out, NASCAR allowed them to keep all 6 sets of tires. Normally it's 5 come race time now.
Ooh, wow. Really loose, getting into the middle of the, that's as difficult to save as there is.
Another look as he was closing fast, and then hang on.
That is a big time save, and you ask why? Because at that point in the corner, you're changing direction. Okay, if you get loose on the very beginning of the corner entry, you still have that room all the way to the middle. But in the middle, the racetrack starts going the other way, and you can run out of room in a hurry.
Nice save by the driver of that 19-year-old Ryan Blaney as he keeps it off the wall here at Kentucky. Well, obviously, I don't think there's going to be too many changes to the car that's out front, the 12 of Sam Hornish Jr. He had opened up over a 2-second lead over second place.
What's going to come into play, Marty, is a 2-tire stop. I'm not sure it's going to happen now, but it will happen tonight. And I wonder if most of these teams will play it safe so they can get a good look at all 4 tires.
You see the 0-1 there of Mike Wallace. He will be the beneficiary of the free pass. He'll get back on the lead lap, and that'll mean 27 cars back on the lead lap. So Sam Hornish lays it down, and let's send it down to Jim Noble first.
Well, Marty, Brian Scott's only complaint, he's a little bit tight in the center. So on the 2 car, they will put 4 scuffed tires on, fill him up with Sunoco racing fuel, and then they will send Brian Scott on his way. Rick?
Brian Blaney, so far so good with the exception of that one bobble. The plan now is to do a track bar adjustment. He says the car's a little loose going in, but tight after that. So now the job is to get the Sunoco fuel in, get him out of here. Mike?
Austin Dillon saying his entry is good, but he's getting more free as the run goes on, especially on exit. We're going to go to work on the right side. Now the left side, a 4-tire change. Sunoco race fuel for Austin Dillon. Meanwhile, Sam Hornish is already away. They worked on getting him a little bit more secure getting into the corner.
And a lot of guys took 2.
I knew we were going to see it. I didn't think we'd see it this early. And I said that right there will set the theme for the night.
And look at Matt Crafton picking up 8 spots. Now remember, this guy started in the back of the field, and here on lap 26 he's going to be in the top 10.
Fun to watch. Fun to watch.
So there is the driver, the 33. He has had a great year in the Truck Series. He's leading the points there. Let's see what he can do tonight. Back here at Kentucky Speedway, and remember we talked with our over-the-wall reporter, Michael Riggs, about how important pit stops would be? Here it is.
Yeah, the 3 team did a reasonable job on the pit stop. Not lightning fast, but no major problems. A little hiccup on the right rear. Looked like you had to hit the lug an extra time. Left side, okay, but here's where trouble begins. Stall. These cars got 370 rear gears. It's really easy to stall leaving pit road. Watch the left front on the 2 car. He came into the pit second. Having trouble getting that left front off. You're going to win races. It's about being nearly perfect.
Remember, Brian Vickers lost 11 spots on pit road in Chicago back in July on the last standalone race because they didn't have their cup crew there.
If you're going to have a problem, let's have it early in the race.
All right, here's the restart. Remember, when they get to that first stripe, there it is on the right side of your screen. The leader can go and everybody can go as the green flag will fly. Sam Hornish takes the high side. Brian Blaney right alongside. Here we go.
The flagman plays off of the leader. Sam Hornish restarts the race. It was close to the start-finish line, but remember, it doesn't matter anymore. The leader restarts the race. Flagman works off of him. And Sam Hornish clears him on the backstretch.
Austin Dillon in 14th after the pit stop.
Oh, we got a car loose in front.
Way loose.
Big save.
That's the 77 of Kligerman.
Yeah, it looked as though Justin Allgaier got loose underneath him, carried him up the racetrack, and they both did a great job saving it.
Look at the donut on the 31.
Yeah, there's 2 things that came into play. Number 1, you got to save the car, but you also got to kind of protect the car to your outside and the field that's behind you closing in.
They were running 7th and 8th respectively. Here it is.
This is that part that we talked about. Vulnerability of getting in. Actually, Parker comes down a little bit here. And when they make contact, the 31 car has the wheel turned to the left, gets loose, and they both survive it.
There's Jeb Burton in the 34, his Nationwide Series debut.
We've seen some great driving tonight.
Let's go on board.
Left side.
Justin Allgaier getting a run off at turn 2. You want to get squared up to a driver. Do not want to go in halfway up. He's squared up. And actually, Justin moved up the racetrack.
Good job. Hang on. Okay, okay.
Justin lost the front of the car, moved up into the 77. And it doesn't look like either car's damaged enough to be affected by it.
So Allgaier's in 15th, Kligerman in 22nd. Let's check in for the battle for 3rd as Herring is trying to hold off Brian Vickers.
Drew Herring told me earlier in the day how excited he was to be back. Finished 4th last year at this track. And if you're looking for one of those candidates that could win their first race, he's one of them.
Left side of your screen, check in on the 3 car of Austin Dillon as he is trying to fight his way forward. There's Parker Kligerman and the 44. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier goes around the 6.
In the last couple days, talking with the drivers, we see Jeb Burton sliding underneath Trevor Bayne. He used really good judgment here. He didn't carry too much speed in, which gets you in trouble. Let the car drift on the exit. And you know what he does is he's sort of evaluating what did I do right, what did I do wrong, and he's going to make another run at him coming off of turn 2, getting into 3. But talking with these drivers, Marty, the last couple of days, they all worried about the cars getting loose. And as the night goes on, the track temp drops, the cars will gain speed, create more front downforce, and as they create more front downforce, they're going to lose rear grip.
Best battle towards the front of the field is that battle for 3rd. Oh, look out, the 60 of Travis Pastrana has gone around, and we've got our 2nd caution.
That's big. He's got a right rear that's down. He's got a right front that's down. Big save. Now the risk is that if you blow out the tire, you tear the car apart.
Don't think so. I got some serious blind spots. All right, Tipper, just take it easy. I don't want to pit.
He was running 10th.
He got a little help.
Nudge.
Yeah, he got a little help.
It was the 3 car of Austin Dillon that gave him that little tap there.
Again, you're in the middle of the corner underneath the car, and you got the bumps can move the car up the racetrack. Jim, what do you got on the 60?
You know, it's funny, Rick, right before that, right after the last pit stop, Travis Pastrana came on the radio and said, this car is almost awesome. Something happened on that pit stop. They did take 4 tires on that pit stop. It's something that 60 car did not like, and he's coming down to pit road. We'll check out the damage.
You think Addie's still sleeping?
Well, Mom's certainly not, but Addie might be. Addie, of course, their baby daughter.
That's exciting. And I think he laughed when he was telling the crew. I think that he actually chuckled. You got to love Travis Pastrana. His attitude, you know, you spin at 160, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, any guy that jumps out of an airplane without a parachute, yeah, he can laugh at a little spin. They give him some fresh tires, send him back out onto the racetrack. And it looks like he will be able to stay on the lead lap.
And Travis has done a good job this year studying the racetracks and learning what he can and cannot do. The cars are a big adjustment to what he's been used to and what he's driven. And, you know, one thing he has in his corner is that the crew loves him. And why wouldn't you?
Well, Johanna Long will get the free pass. That'll get us 28 cars back on the lead lap when we go back to green here at Kentucky. Okay, the Owners' Championship, the team title. Right now, Ryan Blaney, Drew Herring running 2nd and 3rd on the racetrack. The gap as they run, 14 points in favor of the 22.
I tell you, there's a lot of pressure for these young drivers to step into these cars that have a history of winning, a history of leading laps, success for the team, and they've handled it like a couple of champs. Obviously, great future as long as they get the opportunity. And as a young driver, what dominates you all week long leading up to a race like this is, I want to capitalize on this. And you worry about that. So far, so good.
Well, as you can see, our race leader, Sam Hornish Jr., who has led every single lap so far tonight, is going to take the high side again, as it has been successful so far.
Yeah, it's just less risk. On the high side, you can make that really wide arc. You might get beat into the corner, but you're going to really smoke them through the middle and on the exit. And you got something for us, Rick, on the 22 car?
Well, yeah, they were talking with him specifically about the restart. And remember, he's a young driver. That's one thing. Number 2, they've changed some of the rules in terms of the way they're going to go ahead and flag this race. So they were talking him through it. The bottom line, they said, get up next to Sam, watch what Sam's doing. When he goes, go. But the bottom line is you got to stay next to Sam.
We'll find out if it pays dividends this time because he was a little bit late on the trigger last time.
Yeah, listen, there's enough to worry about if you're a driver. I mean, I think there's a lot of things you can do to help this young man, but don't overthink it, and don't create a situation where he's going to spin the rear tires, lose 3 or 4 spots. This kid's qualified.
Let's watch it. Let's watch it from this angle, and we'll watch. And on the wall, you'll see the first line when they come out of turn number 4. Penske is running 1-2. Joe Gibbs Racing running 3, 4, and 5 with Hornish, Blaney, Herring, Vickers, and Elliott Sadler now in the top 5. Here we go. There's the line. Sounded like he had a little wheel spin.
Yeah, but the reason you get wheel spin is because you're playing off sound, okay? You're not watching the car, you're listening. When you hear the 12 car accelerate, sometimes you overreact, and in second gear, it's really easy to spin the tires. He did a great job. Ryan Blaney had about as good a restart as he can. And as long as he stays with Sam Hornish, he'll have an opportunity on the long run, I think.
Look at Brian Scott coming up through, bouncing his way towards 3rd place as Drew Herring has dropped back.
And Brian Scott down on the yellow line. And that is a difficult, very difficult place to do business. Cars favor the middle lane here.
Elliott Sadler in the 11. Here comes Herring on the high side. On board with Scott, who's in 4th. That's Brian Vickers right in front of it.
Brian Vickers doing some double duty. He'll be heading back to New Hampshire. Try to defend his win from July. So he's putting in some overtime here. If you ask him, I don't think he's given up on a championship this year, but he's got some work to do.
Let's get more on that 20 car from Rick DeBrule.
Well, they made a change during that last pit stop, and Brian Vickers says he likes it better. He likes the feel of it right now in terms of the way it's adapted to it. What he was saying was he needed to get around that 54 car the same way Austin Dillon is. The good news is he got around it. Now he feels he can move faster.
As you look at Austin Dillon clear the 54, so move Dillon into the 5th spot. Herring's now 6th. Elliott Sadler's back to 7th.
Here's the value of experience. This racing now is about not overreacting while you're running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th in terms of balance. Because once you get to the lead, your car might be perfect. So you do not want to over-adjust while you're in what we call dirty air. Drivers that have been doing this a while understand I got to be careful not to give too much information when I'm running back in the pack.
And remember, the ARCA race was on Hoosier tires earlier today, and some of the crew chiefs were saying we won't know what we have until 50 laps. Here we are working lap 46.
They're going to get a couple more opportunities to make big adjustments. But by lap 100, Marty, they need to have it figured out. Second half of the race is where you want to run and hide. I expect we're going to have a long green flag run here at some point tonight.
Vickers is under attack again. Here comes Brian Scott. And he clears him.
Yeah, that's a really good job by Brian and a lot of cooperation by Vickers.
So it's now Hornish, Blaney, then Brian Scott, 2 seconds behind the race leader, Vickers, and Austin Dillon. That's your top 5 here at Kentucky as we're working lap number 48. Almost a quarter of the way through as you look into the eyes of Sam Hornish. We've completed 52 of 200 laps here. As you look at the championship standings, the man who's led them all is the points leader, and there he is behind the wheel of the 12, Sam Hornish Jr. As they run right now, he would stretch the lead to 26 over Austin Dillon, who is running in 5th position. Regan Smith would be 48 back. Elliott Sadler would be 55 behind. While we've got a moment, why don't we go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, talk a little bit more about that race leader. How about it, Mike Massaro?
Well,
Well, Marty, as you might imagine, Sam Hornish Jr. had to answer a lot of questions about this championship race this weekend, but he said with 7 races to go, it might be a little bit too early to start concentrating on the 3 cars. He said we need to run our own race, and that's exactly what they've been doing all night long. Their previous pit stop, they made some changes in order to stay ahead of the racetrack. He wanted some security on entry. They have given it to him. He's had an awfully stout race car throughout the evening. Rick?
Well, behind him in second is the kid, Ryan Blaney, entrusted with the Penske car this weekend, trying to prove up in that owner's points. Remember, they have a 13-point lead over the Gibbs car, and his is the young man who's entrusted with trying to make that even bigger. So far, things going well for him. Remember, he has a lot of experience here. He's had 2 nationwide starts and 2 truck races as well, so he knows his way around this track. Jim?
Ryan Scott has really struggled on the mile-and-a-half tracks this year, but not so tonight. Pretty happy with that number 2 car. You know, they tried to copy teammate Austin Dillon's setup most of the summer, and they finally realized that Brian and Austin drive way too differently for that to work, so they've gone in their own direction. Thus far, it looks like they've gone in a good direction tonight. Rick?
Brian Vickers, a man doing double duty this weekend, driving here as well as in the Cup race tomorrow. He managed to be here for what little practice there was yesterday and was here in time to qualify today. Now, he says so far the car's gotten too loose and thinks they may need a track bar adjustment on the next stop. But considering he's running 4th, he likes where this car is at right now. Mike?
Austin Dillon comes into the night just 17 points behind the championship leader, but he's another who's not getting caught up too much in this championship talk. He's winless on the season and said before this race, a win tonight means more than points. Wants to get in that victory lane, something he's done here at Kentucky twice in his career already. Rick?
Yeah, and what Drew Herring would like to do is be the guy who gets a win in this car in addition to Kyle Busch. Remember, Kyle has won in this car 10 times. No other driver has won in this car. Drew Herring would like to be the guy that does that and helps the team out with those manufacturer points. Important to point out, he's been around the team an awful lot this year, even though he hasn't been in the car, so he knows what's going on with these guys. Mike?
At times throughout the evening, Elliott Sadler has sounded a little bit frustrated on the radio. The car not nearly what he would like. A little bit free into 1 tight center. Chris Gale radioed in not too long ago saying, stick with it. We have a plan. Lots of racing to go. Jim?
Michael Annett is running 8th right now, starting to feel the effects of taking just 2 tires on the last stop. He just radioed in and said the car is getting pretty bad off the corner. Still a pretty solid run. Annett and crew chief Philippe Lopez really starting to communicate well. Of course, they missed that communication, didn't get a chance to work on that when Michael Annett missed 8 races at the beginning of the year due to that fractured sternum he suffered in the season opener at Daytona. Rick?
Regan Smith right behind. When I talked to him after qualifying, when he got out of the car, I said, how is it? He said 1 word, tight. And that is still the story. In fact, he says it's too tight everywhere. They're talking about making an air pressure adjustment on the next stop and also discussing about changing tires. So once again, Regan Smith trying to figure out how to dial this car in. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what he can do, and you can see how close Kyle Larson is running behind him. Mike? Jim?
Absolutely is running up there on Regan Smith, and that's interesting, but there's a caution on the track.
Yes, it's Travis Pastrana as he has drilled the wall with the front of his Ford.
And Nelson Piquet Jr. went above him, just missed him. And that's enough damage that they're going to have to probably go to the garage area.
Well, it has not been a good stretch for Travis. He was running 22nd at the time. His last 2 finishes, 27th at Chicago, 20th at Richmond, 17th at Atlanta, 13th at Bristol, 31st at Mid-Ohio. It has not gone the way they wanted.
It's all part of learning. Again, you got to find the limits of the tracks and the cars, and you know, most importantly right now, just find your limit. And the teams will tolerate tearing up race cars in your rookie year. Your sophomore year, you need to show that progress. I expect he will.
Joe Nemechek will get the free pass, and that'll put him back on the lead lap, give us a total of 28 cars on the lead lap. Our 3rd caution of the night. You can see the window net down, Travis climbing out. He'll make the mandatory trip over to the infield care center to be checked out. But I have a feeling the car is in a lot worse shape than Travis.
You see the tires are flat. Obviously knew he was in trouble, locked it down. and take that long, agonizing ride back to the infield care center, as you say, because he's fine physically. He didn't hit hard enough, and the cars are extremely safe, but he's punishing himself right now, thinking, what did I do? How could I have avoided this? Did I put myself in a bad position? It's all about retaining the information and using it to your advantage next time you strap into a race car.
Well, to give you an idea how rough a season it's been, this is the 11th time this year that the 60 car has been involved in a caution for contact. Not necessarily always his doing, but he was at least swept up in it.
Young drivers, rookie year, again, you're expected to tear up race cars, and par for the course. He's, you know, I raced with a guy that tore up a lot of cars his first year. Number drives a 24. He turned out to be pretty good.
Of course, referring to Mr. Jeffrey
Yeah.
Gordon.
Ray Evernham says that I actually helped create the crash cart, but Jeff had a little bit to do with it his rookie year.
Well, if Jeff is watching, I have a feeling you're about to get a text.
Well, you can't deny it.
Oh, sure he can.
It all worked out, okay?
All right, these cars up front, everybody last pitted on lap number 27. We're working lap number 63. You going to come?
Yeah.
Now, we took 2 tires last time for the most part. All the cars up front, you're going to go 4.
No, I think you're going to have the drivers that took 4 last time take 2. The drivers who took 2 are giving information to their crew chief right now saying, you know, I liked it, you know, it's okay, or no, don't do it again. But you cannot afford to give up track position. So I think 2 tires is going to be the theme most of the night. I actually had a crew chief tell me earlier today, after a relatively short run, because they didn't get a lot of practice, the right side tires wore 5% in the first handful of laps. The left side tires wore 0. The reason the left side tires don't wear much on this track, you got 14 degrees of banking, so they don't load the left side tires as much, and you can get away with a 2-tire stop.
We mentioned Elliott Sadler, of course, during Countdown. Talked to him about what happened last week, which was not fun for him, getting rear-ended by the 24. Let's listen in on the radio.
What do you think about just left here, try to get some track position?
I think we can do it, absolutely. As long as you're willing to try it, I think it'll free up the car a little bit, but I think it's worth a shot because I think we need to maintain track position.
This goes back to what he was saying. We have to gamble. We have to try some things that other people aren't going to do.
Yeah, and the key word there is the willingness. Okay, so the crew chief says, as long as you're willing to tolerate it, knowing that we're not even halfway through the race, let's know now, lap 63, what this is going to, how the car's going to react. And we'll put it in our memory bank, and we might go back to it late in the race.
Pit lane is still closed. As you can see, that is the entrance to pit lane. They're just getting the 60 car towed out of the way. So they'll make another lap around this 1.5 mile Kentucky Speedway before they can make it in to find out who's going to take 2, 4, right sides, left sides.
You know, you go back to that situation with Elliott Sadler last week, and I think it brings into play the responsibility of the spotters. I've used the expression that your spotter is your conscience as it relates to doing his job and helping the driver. He's not telling you how to drive the race car, but he's giving you information that you need to do your job better and keep you out of trouble. It could be oil, could be a car spinning in front of you. In this case, it was Elliott slowing down to make a pit stop. And we can be hard on Brett Butler, and he certainly has to take the responsibility last week, but the spotter needed to help him.
Word is now pit road will be open this time as the cars are entering turn number 3. So get ready, because it's going to be interesting to see who takes 2, and do they go right side, left side, or do they take 4? Sam Hornish Jr. will be leading all the cars on the lead lap.
I guarantee you the 2 car are going to take 2 tires. Jim Noble, you're going to be helping us through this?
Yeah, you guys are pretty smart. They've already called for a 2-tire pit stop in the number 2 pit. Brian Scott took 4 last time. His car fires off great, gets a little tight on the long run, so the 2 tires stop, air pressure adjustments, and Sunoco Racing Fuel. Rick?
Well, Ryan Blaney brings it in, talking about the fact the car was loose in. Said the center's better. The plan here were an air pressure adjustment. They're going to go ahead and change 4 tires. Meanwhile, we got Brian Vickers just up ahead of him. He was saying the side car is tight center to exit. Their plan is to take 4 tires as well. Mike?
Sam Hornish Jr. saying he's a little bit tight off a 4-tire change and a wedge adjustment. He's away.
You know, when you come in second and go out 10th, you won't do that again, and that's what we saw out of Scott and Dillon.
So you can see who picked up and who lost. Hornish, Blaney with the 4-tire change. And look at Coulter picking up 12 spots. Back here at Kentucky, you can see that Nelson Piquet is trying to get one of his 4 laps back. Remember, he hit the wall early. That's him speeding off into the distance. Jeremy Clement stayed out long enough to lead a lap. In fact, 2 to be exact. So he becomes our 2nd leader today. And right now, you've got a Childress front row instead of a Penske front row. Austin Dillon is credited with the race lead along with Brian Scott. Then it's Drew Herring, Sam Hornish Jr., Ryan Blaney, Elliott Sadler according to the scoring monitor.
Marty, we saw the hood up on a few cars, and that indicated that they were making some pretty big adjustments. Typically, the splitter bottoming out because there's so many bumps.
And one of those cars was the 6 of Trevor Bayne, and they were hitting and made the adjustments on the right front.
Right. And when the splitter hits the racetrack, you lose the front tires, the grip, and you really got to surrender. You know, you can't keep putting wheel into it.
Now, Larson also had to come back in, so Bayne and Larson are going to restart 25th and 26th. We're still tracking down what happened to Larson on why he had to come back in, but they're both on the lead lap, 28 cars total, as out front it is Scott and Dillon on the front row.
It's going to be an opportunity to see for both these drivers how good their car is in clean air.
Green flag is up.
Austin doesn't have a really good entry, a good angle into the corner, and it's going to catch up with him here on the exit.
Remember how he told us he loves to arc it in there? Can't do it from down there. Look at the 22 of Blaney. Shoots into 3rd. Can he hold off Hornish? Yes. So Blaney picks up about 3 spots, and this is the first time tonight that Hornish has trailed anybody.
First time that he's also been in dirty air. And Austin Dillon did a great job. You saw him going down the backstretch, driving up to the right, left rear quarter panel of Brian Scott. And what that does is that stalls out the car to the rear outside, dumps the air off the front of your car onto his spoiler, slows him down, got the run into 3.
See that race? See that 18 car right in front of the 11? That is Joey Coulter. Remember, he started in the back of the pack with 2 others at the start of this race for unapproved adjustments. He's running 6th right now and battling Drew Herring for the spot.
Restarts are so critical, and it's an element of the sport and the game that the drivers have had to perfect.
Matt Crafton, another of those 3 drivers that went to the rear for the unapproved adjustments in the 33. So both these cars flexing a little muscle here.
Some great racing, and these drivers are working really, really hard. Again, back to the restarts. What the restarts do is they provide you the opportunity to line up side by side with a car that you might otherwise work really hard to put yourself in that position. You got to capitalize on it. Opportunity to gain 2 or 3 spots on a restart, and it might take 20 laps to do that under green on the racetrack. It's fun to watch as the sport evolves, and these cars have evolved, and Marty, these crew members are doing some crazy things to get speed out of them.
There's Trevor Bayne in the 6 and the 32 of Kyle Larson. Remember, they both had issues requiring extra time on pit road. They have managed to move their way up. Bayne is up to 19th, Larson to 21st. And Rick DeBrule has caught up with a disappointed Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, Travis says he likes this track. He was looking for a good finish. You had 2 incidents tonight. Let's start about the first one. It looked like you got tapped on that one.
Yeah, I was just, man, I tell you what, the guys threw everything but the kitchen sink at it after practice. Chad Norris, Roush Family Crew, gave me an awesome car. We were barely off. We came in after that competition caution. We were so free. I don't know if it's just because we were back. A lot of guys took 2 tires, and so I mean, Austin got under me a little bit, and kind of, I don't know if he got into me or just took the wind off the back, but got around, put us way in the back of the pack, and we were still a little free coming in, but just trying to arc it as much as we could. I really felt we had a great car. I want to thank Jack Rouse for giving me all the support, and we should have been top 5. There's no excuse for me not to be there. So thanks, guys.
Well, his new daughter Addie is here this weekend. He'll have to have a great finish next week instead.
On the right side, now full screen, you can see the 3-car of Austin Dillon doing what he needs to do. Get out in front of Sam Hornish Jr. in that points battle. And there in second place is Brian Scott. Young Ryan Blaney in a close third. And then Sam Hornish is back in fourth. Now, all of a sudden, here's Hornish for the first time tonight, as you said, in dirty air. And we were talking to a number of the crew chiefs about the difference of your car, the way it performs when you're out front and when you're back in the pack.
Yeah, and they're working really hard to try and gain speed out of these cars on the straightaway. They're doing some really crazy things with rear springs in the back of the cars, and not all drivers can accept it or tolerate it. You know, one thing I learned, Marty, later in life, drivers become less willing to experiment. So when I talk about crew members and engineers experimenting, that favors young drivers. And it doesn't surprise me. You look at Ryan Blaney here. All he wants to do is drive. When you're 40 years old, sometimes you start thinking about how hard it is when you hit.
Speaking from personal experience there,
oh,
Marty?
yeah.
Hey, while we've been watching this out on the track, we should point out Kyle Larson made another pit stop. He is now in 28th position, 1 lap down. Jim Noble, what is going on?
Well, things just got real interesting and not in a good way for Kyle Larson. First of all, the pit stop, extra pit stop you guys talked about, they had a fueling issue, did not get the tank full. That's why they had to come down and put more fuel in. Then in the last couple of laps, Kyle Larson has reported a vibration. Originally wanted to come to pit road. Trent Owens has told him to stay out for now and see if it goes away.
Well, I tell you, I like Trent Owens, and he does a great job. But that idea didn't work real well last week.
No, it did not. Ended up in the wall. And there was a visible tire rub. We don't see any smoke this time. Meanwhile, let's check back in as there is Austin Dillon as he is now in the clean air. And he has opened up a 1-second lead over Brian Scott. Ryan Blaney in third and Sam Hornish now in fourth. Get your NFL Sunday started on ESPN at 10 a.m. It's Sunday NFL Countdown as the gang provides all the latest news and updates from stadiums around the league right up till kickoff. And before you set up your lineups, catch fantasy football now at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. The experts there provide the latest news, injury reports, and predict the top fantasy performers. You into fantasy football at all?
No, fantasy racing.
All right. No fantasy right now for the 3-car. They are out in front by 1.1 seconds. Austin Dillon over Ryan Blaney, who during the break got ahead of Brian Scott.
Hey, let's go for a ride. Austin Dillon out front, running the fastest laps of anyone. Heading down into turn 3. He looks for his marker. He knows where he wants that left front tire. Got a lot of wheel in the car. At this point, he's going back to the accelerator. He looks at the wall. Why the wall? Because the wall determines how quickly you can go back to that accelerator. Down the front stretch. Looking for your marker into one. Want to hit it, got it. Here I'm back to the gas. Again, immediately shift your eyes to the wall. You go back to the accelerator. How quickly you can go to the floor is predicated on the previous lap and how that car felt. You're making an adjustment here into 3 based on your last time into the corner. Do I want to go a little bit deeper and use a little more brake, set the nose, come down across the racetrack quicker? You're constantly evaluating the car, the track, and you're playing off of visual, but you're also playing off of sound. It's a rhythm. And you hear drivers say, I'm at my best when I can get into a rhythm. That's what we're seeing out of Austin Dillon right now. Mike, what do you got?
Well, you talk about the rhythm. He certainly has had that in his career at this racetrack. A couple of victories. I spoke with him earlier this week, and he said, look, if we can push really hard in practice to get the balance I'm looking for, I can run my line, and we'll be top 5 easy. But we're not going to settle for that. We want a win. They're feeling pretty confident. This is a brand new race car, but they went back to a very, well, not, I shouldn't say a very old setup, but a previously used setup a year ago, and it has responded, which is remarkable when you consider the evolving setups in this series, Ricky. They've changed so dramatically from week to week. A setup that they used a year ago, working pretty well for them right now.
Oh my gosh, is that a great point, Mike? And again, the young drivers like Austin Dillon, they don't really care what you put in the car for springs, shocks, sway bars. They just give information like a computer would give information if you've been downloading that info for years. That's what a driver does. Put it on your hard drive.
Drew Herring in 5th place right now in that 54 car. Rick DeBrule, what's the latest?
Well, he may not be leading the race, but I can tell you he likes his car. How much do they like the car? On that last pit stop, they took no tires, made no adjustments. I was talking with the crew chief, and he was saying they looked at their lap times. There was no drop-off whatsoever. As a result, they decided not to put on 2 tires. They felt they were going to save those tires for the end of the race, and that's going to be an important point. Dial it in, be up front. But right now, he likes the way the car is working. Mike?
Rick, you talk about a guy who knows he has a fast race car. Well, Matt Crafton is definitely the guy. He had a problem after qualifying with his radiator, had to start at the back. I talked to him before the race. He said, well, it's going to be one heck of a show. And it has been. If you've been watching the 33 car, he's cracked the top 10, now working on cracking the top 5. He's been extremely happy with it all evening long. He's not going to settle, I don't think, until he gets to the front. Meanwhile, I can't say the same about Elliott Sadler. It has been a bit of a struggle, some frustration in his voice, but this team has not given up, and they've taken a few risks, I would say. 2 tire changes on each of the stops. Right side's the first time down pit road, left side's the second time down pit road. It's given them some track position, and it's certainly put them in the mix for the win here this evening.
So Sadler continues in that 8th place position. Meanwhile, look at Sam Hornish Jr. He is trying to reel in Brian Scott. That is a battle for 3rd. Let's listen in on the 12 radio.
Set 2, Scott. Set 2. A little bit tighter set.
No, 10-4, we'll get through it. I just wanted to make sure that I knew, because it's a fair bit tighter now from about the 1/3 all the way out of the corners, and it snaps the back end because it's chatter in the front. So we'll just deal with it, get through it, we'll be fine.
Chattering the front.
It means that he's putting too much wheel in the car through the very middle of the corner. At some point, you're asking this car to change directions. And you can do most of it with a steering wheel, but sometimes you need to use your feet. In this case, when you start chattering the right front, it means it's skipping across the track, and that's a miserable set of circumstances on a 1.5 mile track.
And look at the shift that we've now seen as they run. The points would narrow down to 12 with Austin Dillon out in 1st place, Sam Hornish Jr. in 4th.
Oh, he's getting busy here, Marty. Trying to size up the 2 car of Brian Scott, but he's doing it in traffic. 2 wide is asking a lot. 3 wide might lead to problems.
79 of Jeffrey Earnhardt and the 55 of Jamie Dick. Those are lap vehicles.
Drivers work off of visual, they work off of sound, but most importantly, they work off of feel. And that's what Sam Hornish just delivered back to his crew chief, what he was feeling.
You can see the vibration, the bounce from that onboard camera. There's Austin Dillon here at the Kentucky 300 as he is out in front by a full second. Let's check the calendar because AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals with qualifying 11:30 Eastern tonight right here on ESPN News. And then the finals 8:30 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. And look at this. Ryan Blaney has taken the lead from Austin Dillon. As, of course, we got Cup Series action at the Sylvania 300. Chase race number 2 as they're going to go 3 wide. You look at what's on the screen, and on the right side, we're looking at what's happening on the track.
Ryan Blaney did a great job there. He carried a lot of speed in, and he actually lost some RPM with a lap car to his outside. He had to slow the car down in the middle, and that allowed Austin to get back underneath him, but he just finished it off right there off of 2.
Big puff of smoke from the 32 down on pit road. We'll just let you know that the 32 of Kyle Larson is not going to have a very good night tonight. They're already 2 laps down and getting worse. Meanwhile, the driver of the 22, Ryan Blaney, becomes our 5th different leader tonight. And it looks like they're pushing the 32 behind the wall. Rick?
Well, I can talk about Ryan Blaney, who's out on the track. It was interesting. The gap between he and Austin Dillon was kind of varying just a little bit back and forth, pretty much constant between 0.8 and a full second. And then suddenly he was able to dip down and take it out. Now, says the car isn't working great down below, but the crew came back and said, look, we'll dial it in. I want you to know you got the best car out there. We'll dial it in. And obviously it's working right now. Jim?
Rick, here is the story on Kyle Larson. He radioed in a couple laps ago, said he thought he had a tire going down. Then as he tried to slow down, maybe get ready to hit pit road, his brake pedal went to the floor. Has no brakes right now. They've got to take him behind the wall and fix that brake package.
So for Kyle Larson, who finished 14th and 32nd in his last 2 nationwide starts, it looks like this one is going to put him, well, in the 30s again.
Yeah, it's the time of year where everything matters in terms of points. He's had a great year, but you want to finish strong.
Finishing strong right now is what's on the mind of that man. 19-year-old Ryan Blaney, as he has opened up an 0.8 of a second lead. So what has happened here is the run has gotten longer. Blaney's car has actually come in better. We talked about the guys that have won this year in the 22, which leads the Owners' Championship, and a distinguished list, to say the least.
It sure is. And each of those drivers won with authority, and that's what we're seeing out of Ryan Blaney right now. 3 wide here, getting a little busy.
And that is still the battle between the 2 of Brian Scott and the 12 of Sam Hornish Jr.
Every one of these drivers has a personality on the racetrack, Marty, and you know, Sam is along the lines of an Austin Dillon, where he drives hard the first third of the race. The tires might get punished a little bit the second third, and then he has to hang on for the last third. Our leader, Ryan Blaney, reminds me of his dad. His dad was really good on long runs, and we got a caution.
Caution is out. We got smoke on the backstretch up into turn 3 now. I can see a car into the wall. The 23 has tagged the wall. That's Harrison Rhodes. Started Craven Sign Services. I didn't know you were a sponsor.
Yeah, I didn't either. That family.
Not a good sign for Harrison, as this brings out our 4th caution of the night. Rhodes, a 20-year-old, and this was his 7th race on the schedule this year. His best finish was 23rd back at Iowa.
Okay, something to think about. Ryan was one of the few cars that took 4 tires on that last stop. There's no question it paid off on the long run. About halfway through this race, how are we going to handle this next stop? I think we're going to see a smorgasbord of ideas or strategies.
Just before the caution, remember we saw Sam Hornish and Brian Scott go around the 40 of Reed Sorensen and the 70 of Johanna Long. Sorensen will get the free pass as he stayed in front of Johanna, so it'll give us 22 cars on the lead lap when we go back to green. And as we get ready for pit stops, here comes Ryan Blaney. And Jim Noble, you're up first again.
And Brian Scott, who took a 2-tire stop on the last stop, will go for 4 this time. The number 2 car, pretty tight. Brian says he needs some help to turn better. They will try to do that with yet another air pressure adjustment on the 2 car. Rick.
Well, the story with Ryan Blaney, he says it's loose in traffic, a little bit loose by himself. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. They're also going to put air in the left rear. And their intention right now was to go for 4 tires, despite the fact they think some people may go for 2. Mike?
Austin Dillon needs to be freed up on exit. They're calling for 4 tires, a track bar adjustment, and air pressure. Meanwhile, Sam Hornish Jr., he's looking to be tighter. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, a round and a half, work on that chassis adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for the 12. He's a little bit slow getting away, though.
2 tires for Elliott Sadler, and that is going to pay big dividends. 7 positions, and remember they said they had to go opposite of what everybody else was doing. They had to gamble. Justin Allgaier picks up 7 with a 2-tire stop. Matt Crafton lost 2 in the exchange. Brian Vickers picks up 6. Let's check in on Michael Riggs as he's over the wall, the front tire carrier on the 77 pit stop. Just that quick. That's how they do it. We're going to step aside for just a second. We'll go back to green when we return to the Kentucky 300. Under our fourth caution here at the Kentucky Speedway with 91 laps to go as we are well past the halfway mark. Let's check in with Jim Noble. He's caught up with a disappointed Kyle Larson.
That's right, Marty. It seems that Kyle Larson may have gotten all his problems out of the way in this race because you had a fueling issue, a vibration, and now the brake issue that's put you behind the wall. Just a multitude of problems tonight?
Yeah, I forgot about the fuel issue. Yeah, we had a loose wheel and then lost a lap and then had to, come back in. And then, I was running good lap times, out in clean air and stuff. But and then we had some in the right front brake caliper, go wrong. So just a lot of bad luck today. Hopefully we got it all the way and can have a smooth race next weekend. Our Cleveland Chevy I thought was pretty good. Just track position was pretty important, and just like I said, a lot of bad luck. So go to wherever we are next week. I don't know, I race so much I don't even know where we run next week. But just thank Clearman, Nationwide Insurance, Turner Scott Motorsports, and all the fans. Hopefully it's a good finish for the race.
Thanks, Kyle. Guys?
I get such a kick out of Kyle Larson. The pride of Elk Grove, California is about as laid back as I've ever met a talented 21-year-old race car driver. Went to talk to him a few weeks ago, Marty, and he was taking a nap.
Well, the cars with the lights out on the pace car will be going green this time by. They're just getting out of turn number 2, heading down the backstretch. Elliott Sadler will have the race lead the first time tonight. He becomes our 6th different leader. One of the guys we have not talked about, because I was looking at the points with where Elliott is, he would move ahead of Regan Smith. Regan is running 9th right now. We haven't mentioned his name much at all tonight, because he has not been able to crack the top 5.
Well, with all due respect, he's a very good race car driver, but the old saying is, as goes your success on mile-and-a-half tracks, so go your chances at a title. And we said it, well documented earlier in the event, he hasn't gotten a top 5 this year on a mile-and-a-half track.
With the new restart rule, we're going to do it again with Ryan Blaney. As watch for the line coming up out of turn number 4. Pace car has pulled off. Coming up on the zone right here.
Again, you can hear it.
Oh, but it's better this time for Blaney. He's closer. He's got a nose in front. That's the oil dry that they put down.
You see Austin.
Oh, and a spin. The 5 of Brad Sweet turns it around
in front of the whole field.
Whoa.
Oh, that's an ugly feeling when you're the driver of that 5 car and the banking forces the car back down the hill and cars are coming.
And especially when it's the driver's side that is facing everybody coming at you. So our 5th caution comes out quickly.
3 wide in front of him. And
this is going to get ugly.
He's loose here. Yeah. He's turning right.
Boy, this could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse. It wouldn't be unusual for that car to snap back and take the car to his outside.
Still the 44 of Cole Witt get around him.
Yeah.
He was 15th on the restart, Brad Sweet was.
I tell you, the track is really bumpy. Getting into 3. Low air pressure. On low air pressure, the front splitter is more likely to hit the racetrack.
And according to NASCAR, the 22 of Ryan Blaney will be the race leader. Rick DeBrule.
And that could make a huge difference in the way he does these restarts. Remember, he's been mastering so far how to go by on that bottom row. But if he gets to move up and go to the top row, he's been watching that guy, figuring out what happens. So it's interesting. Is he going to take the top row like everybody else has done? Or is he going to take the bottom row like he's learned how to do after every restart that he's been in?
He did an exceptional job on that last restart. Couldn't have timed it any better.
We can tell you Johanna Long will get the free pass. It'll give us 23 cars back on the lead lap. And while we've got a moment, let's talk about the calendar again, because we sort of got interrupted with a great pass for the lead at AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals. Qualifying's 11:30 Eastern tonight on ESPN News. And then the finals are at 8:30 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. Chase race number 2, the Sylvania 300 from New Hampshire. That's at 1 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. Also on ESPN2 at 1 Eastern, the American Le Mans Circuit of the Americas. And our next stop, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, will be coming your way from Dover, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern. And that'll be on ESPN. The Harvest Moon was this past Wednesday.
Isn't that fascinating?
It's a pretty shot.
I'm hearing you can buy 5-acre lots there real cheap.
Yeah, but it's the moving van costs that really are kind of on the steep side.
Oh, I don't know where that came from.
I know where it's going. Right back out there. All right, so now we're going to see what Ryan Blaney can do as the race leader on his first restart under the new rules package. Elliott Sadler will restart second. Austin Dillon will be third. Brian Scott fourth, and Sam Hornish fifth. And we'll go back to green when we come back to Kentucky. Welcome back to the Kentucky 300. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We've got 85 laps to go here tonight under the lights at Kentucky Speedway, and got a couple of interested spectators that are tweeting about tonight's race. Let's put up Casey Kane's little throwdown towards Brad Keselowski. He says, hey, new leader, Ryan Blaney, 22, looking good. Hey, Keselowski, looks like he may have your setup in that thing. And then Keselowski says, yep, I have goosebumps. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let's get an update on the 6. Trevor Bayne, Mike.
Well, you talk about a guy who's earned his money today. Well, I think a bonus is deserving of crew chief Mike Kelly in the 6 car. Trevor Bayne has been on the splitter, off the splitter. They've made track bar adjustments. They put a rubber in the right rear. They've adjusted the right front shock. And all the while, they're still almost inside the top 10. They keep working on it. They haven't given up. They've got a good car. They know it. It's a brand new car. It tested real well in the wind tunnel, but it has been a handful throughout the course of the weekend. But they still believe they can get a good finish out of this evening.
Well, they're going to restart 13th, and you're right. They have had a myriad of problems, and they've done a great job of staying on the lead lap. And these 2 quick cautions have allowed him to pick up a few quick spots. And here we'll find out if they can push it a little bit farther forward. All right, they're on the backstretch. This time we'll be going green.
Oh, the tables are reversed here. Ryan Blaney on the outside, Elliott on the inside. Elliott's going to have to time himself off of the 22 start.
Then you got Richard Childress racing on row number 2 with the 3 of Austin Dillon, the 2 of Brian Scott. And then back in row number 3, Sam Hornish Jr. and Drew Herring. All right, let's watch from Brian Scott.
Brian gives Blaney a little bump on the straightaway.
And that was the push he needed, because he had a little bit of wheel spin. Now Scott's trying to stay right with him in second and force Sadler to third, and he does.
Austin Dillon drives so deep in the corner. Underneath Elliott.
Look at Sam Hornish side by side with Matt Crafton right behind them. There's Drew Herring in the 54 in the mix as well. Sam has been very aggressive on the restarts, especially later in the race. They've picked up a ton of positions over the last 5-6 races with that maneuver.
Yeah, and you have to. And oh boy, that was a recipe for disaster. Crafton was thinking he was clear, came down. Sam was generous, lifted, and now squares up against Matt coming down the front stretch.
And right behind those two, you got a glimpse of the 31 of Justin Allgaier as he has moved up to the 8th position right now.
Sam carried so much speed into the corner, wanting to beat the 33 down into the middle and then drift up. but he had so much speed that he gave up the entire middle. And when you do that, you lose 300 RPM, and you pay the price on the exit. Battle's back here.
Sam's back out in front of him. Now it's a battle for second place with Scott and Dillon going after each other. I can tell you that Ryan Blaney has opened up an 0.8 of a second lead.
When you have two drivers preoccupied with one another like these two are, you give up speed. And you know, you might think, well, why would that happen? It happens because you're not able to race, you're not able to focus on just the track. If you're in Brian Scott's position, you're checking the mirror, you're listening to your spotter. You see Justin Allgaier is doing a great job making a rally here in the second half of the race on the outside of Matt Crafton.
And you know, Allgaier had his first Cup start last week, and he realized, he said, man, I had to learn how to back up the corner with all that extra horsepower. And he said, it's actually helped me with not being so over driving of the Nationwide car.
It's fascinating. Until you drive a Cup car, you don't realize how much different they are. And some drivers who don't have a lot of success in Nationwide racing are outstanding in Cup, and vice versa. There's no greater example than Jimmy Johnson. Not great numbers in the Nationwide series, but a legend in the Sprint Cup. And it suits it, you know, it just suits a certain style. Very, very easy to overdrive a Cup car. These cars, you get punished if you don't overdrive them. And that's because they don't have the horsepower. Without the horsepower, you take one of the parts of the equation out, which is wheel spin. Very easy to spin the rear tires. Tomorrow at New Hampshire for these Cup drivers, not so much with these cars. You got to keep the RPMs up. You got to keep the momentum up.
And here comes Crafton right back on the 31, but not able to get all the way through.
No, Matt got loose right there. And when he got loose, he had to give up the accelerator.
On the right side of your screen, Brian Scott's doing an excellent job of holding off the three of Austin Dillon.
What Brian's trying to do is he's trying to get...
Whoa, contact, and there goes the 31 up into the wall.
And that's a pretty big hit.
So Justin Allgaier is falling back after the contact with the 33 of Matt Crafton.
Yeah, that's enough to damage the car, and now what you got to worry about is the right side tire going down.
There's another view.
You got to see that one again.
He was running 7th at the time. He's dropped to several positions. In fact, he's all the way back to 12th right now.
Still there. Hang on, hang on, hang on. He pushed us up in the wall. We brushed the wall. We brushed the wall. Still inside, inside.
Well, he's staying out.
He said he pushed him up in the wall. I don't see anything on the left side of the car. And although it looks like they made contact, I'll tell you what, at these speeds and as bumpy as the track is, it's real easy to lose the car on corner entry. And remember, the drivers feared this for 2 days. The car's personality is going to change, get looser and looser as the race goes along.
The battle for second continues between Scott and Dillon. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney has checked out. He is 2 seconds ahead. That's that little dot you see at the top of your screen. How about the further back, the 43 of Michael Annett, the 34 of Jeb Burton. And Jim, you've got more on that 34 car?
Absolutely, Marty. It's been a pretty interesting Nationwide debut for Jeb Burton. He's been pretty vocal on the radio, says he thinks his car is a lot faster than he's shown. One of the interesting things is during the early portion of the race, Jeb was radioing in about every 10 seconds saying, I'm tight, I'm tight. Finally, crew chief Mike Tillman had enough. He said, Jeb, every time you talk on the radio, you lose about 0.2 of a second. Jeb's been fairly quiet since then.
So distraction is poison, and you know there's nothing more than distracting than trying to communicate while you're driving.
So that battle continues, and there is a very lonely guy, but I guarantee he's very happy. Ryan Blaney is now 2.6 seconds out in front of Scott and Dillon at the Kentucky 300. 66 laps to go here at Kentucky Speedway, and you're looking at the race leader, 19-year-old Ryan Blaney. He is out front now by a full 3 seconds over Austin Dillon. Now that is second place. Austin Dillon, he has gotten around Brian Scott during the break, and he has pulled out a 1.5 seconds over the 2 car after this move.
Yeah, once you get to this point, again, you can help stall out the car to the outside. Austin Dillon is such an aggressive driver. He wears the tires out on the car, and he's so much fun to watch.
And then here's his radio.
Hey, next time I get to him, help me out. Yeah, 10-4, he's racing 2 here. I'm talking to him.
Yeah, I love that comment. Spotter's like, look, he's got his own race. You know, he's doing his job. And typically, I'll tell you, you can feel a driver when he gets to your left rear. You feel that. You feel the car stall out. And the spotter, you know, they're there to protect you, as I said earlier, give you information that you wouldn't otherwise know. But they're not there to tell you to pull over.
Well, he's now opened up 1.8 seconds over third place. So this is the biggest gap that we have seen in the top 3 the entire race. It's almost 5 seconds between first and third. So as we get down, Ryan Blaney with a now 2.8 second lead. Let's go up to speed. Nationwide Insurance. And how about a little strategy as we've got one more pit stop at least in our future. How about it, Rick?
And the key word that they just told to Ryan Blaney was tire management. That's what they want to make sure they can manage these tires. Even though he's still got a lead, he seems to be stretching it out. They want to make sure they manage these tires. As you said, only one more stop. I'll tell you what, the thing that's impressed me is listening on the radio, how calm he is. Remember, this is only his 15th nationwide start. Exceptionally calm as he and Jeremy Bullins, the crew chief, exchange words on the radio. Mike?
Prior to his last pit stop, Austin Dillon saying he was a little bit loose in 3 and 4, but good pretty much everywhere else. They had made an air pressure adjustment, and the car is much better. Hasn't complained about it one bit. His objective tonight, with just 7 races remaining in this season, put as much pressure on Sam Hornish as he possibly can, because every point matters. He's making the most of it so far, Jim.
Strong night for Brian Scott, but he almost had to let teammate Austin Dillon pass him back then. The problem for Scott, he's pretty good on the short run, but the longer the green flag run goes, he tightens up. Right now, in terms of fuel strategy, Brian Scott can pretty much come in anytime within 55 laps to go. They'll probably run further than that if we stay green, but Brian Scott would love to get a caution and have a short run at the end. Mike?
There has been some interesting pit strategy from the 11 team tonight. At no point have they stopped and taken 4 tires. They took rights on their first stop, lefts on the second stop, rights again on the most recent stop. However, there may be a little bit of regret. Sadler came over the radio not too long ago saying we should have made some adjustments on that last stop. Not exactly happy with his car. Rick?
And Drew Herring did make adjustments on that last stop. Remember, 2 stops ago, they made put on no tires, made no adjustments. This last stop, they put on 4 tires, made a track bar adjustment. Remember, he was talking about how they were going to dial it in as the race went along. They seem very comfortable with where they are, especially with their tire management as they get through the end of this. So once again, Drew Herring, more adjustments, but comfortable with where the car is at. Mike?
Hard to believe this is only Matt Crafton's 3rd career Nationwide Series start. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, let's get back to Sam Hornish. Sam Hornish now running 6th. He's been pretty happy with his race car. He said it was a 4 tight on this run. They're going to have to try to free him up next time down pit road.
About as far back as Sam has been all night. And a 4 tight means pretty big adjustments coming on this next stop.
Behind Hornish in 6th, it's Kraft in 7th, Vickers 8th, Kligerman 9th, and Alex Bowman has moved into the top 10. That rounds out the top 10 here at Kentucky. 6 of the top 10 are looking for their first Nationwide Series win, including that man right there, the 22 of Ryan Blaney. Does he get it? We still got 57 laps to go. The full contact action of the Global Rallycross Series is back in Charlotte, this time at the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track. Can Travis Pastrana or any of the stars of the GRC stop Tomas Heikkinen from clinching the championship this weekend? See it all unfold tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern on ABC and ESPN3.
Marty, that's the closest thing I've seen to you driving in Montreal last year.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Actually, I did very well in Montreal last year.
I'll only say we survived it.
Meanwhile, on the racetrack, looking at Sam Hornish Jr. trying to get around Drew Herring. Now, Hornish during the break picked up a spot. He moved into 5th. Now he's trying to pick up 4th. And that's Elliott Sadler, who is dropping back right now in that 11 car. Now, remember, they gambled with the 2 tires, and it looks like maybe now that this long run, that's hurting that 11 car.
Yeah, there's always a price to pay. And you know, but he did tell us earlier in the week, we're going to gamble. We're going to air it out. It's a position we're in. They haven't changed left side tires, and it's catching up with them now.
And you can see that Vickers has gotten by. And here comes Matt Crafton in the 33. And that'll bump him back to 8th if Crafton gets around him. Now, before we pick it up, let's go back. There's a little bit of contact perhaps here between the 54 and the 12. Yeah, that's a nudge, but Sam got out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and listen, as fast as you're going and as hard as you're driving, you're going to make contact. It's part of the sport.
And he's closing back in on the Herring, who is running in 4th. We'll update you. Ryan Blaney is 2.4 seconds ahead of Austin Dillon. Dillon is ahead of Brian Scott by almost 6 seconds right now. That's right. And then it drops back another 2 seconds to this group, Herring and Hornish. And there goes Matt Crafton around the 11. So Elliott Sadler's strategy, they needed a little earlier yellow.
Yeah. Now we're getting into the point. 48 laps to go. Everybody can go the rest of the way on one more stop. And, you know, I would expect everybody is going to take 4 tires on this last stop. So here comes 77.
Yep, I was just going to mention Parker Kligerman. He has rebounded, and he is closing quickly now on Elliott Sadler for 8th.
A little bit of time I've spent around Parker, it really intrigues me how hard he studies the sport. And I think every driver is sort of a historian. They know what tracks have to offer them. They know how certain drivers do at certain tracks, and they study those drivers. And wow, that was a product of the 11 car just giving up the middle because it doesn't have the grip. Rick, what do you got on the 11?
Well, let's actually talk about Parker Kligerman in that 77 car. Now, remember, early on in the race, he had that incident with Justin Allgaier. Immediately afterwards, he came on the radio, really angry about what had happened. He was talking about the fact that what he wanted to do, and the crew was like, you know what? Calm down. Eric Phillips, the crew chief, was telling him it's a long race. We got to reel it in, and that's exactly what they've done. Slowly but surely making the adjustments. In fact, on that last stop, they made a track bar adjustment. They took 4 tires. Calm down, take control, slowly move up, and you can see what it's done with how he's running in this race.
So there's Kligerman in 8th. Now the race leader is that man right there, Ryan Blaney. Now he runs the Truck Series full time. He's led a total of 65 laps all season there. He's led 51 tonight. Back here at the Kentucky 300, where the 22 of Ryan Blaney has a 2-second lead over Austin Dillon. But what we were watching during the break is that he was coming up on Jeff Burton to put him a lap down. And remember, these guys are racing now full time in the Truck Series, and that was close.
Yeah, it's just timing. And he was trying to get a nice arc into the corner and maybe misjudged it a little bit. And at the last second, took a little extra wheel, snapped the back of the car loose.
You think it might have been also a little, this is meant to be in your face, and it almost was in the wall?
No, I just think that he is laying down laps like every lap is his last. And I think that's what you got to do as a leader. The hardest thing is to try and conserve.
And the 6 of Trevor Bayne is pitting Mike Massaro.
And Bayne coming down pit road. They've been working on the chassis throughout the course of the evening. No time for that this time, however. A 2-tire change is what's being called by Mike Kelly. He's away. Jim.
Here's Brian Scott for his last lap. Now, or last pit stop, rather. They took 2 tires, or rather 4 tires on the previous stop. They will go around and take 4 again. Brian Scott again on long runs. Just gets too tight. They'll make an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment to try to fix that.
And remember, this is the first time tonight the pit crews have done green flag pit stops. So the pressure is really on because this is the money stop.
Boy, these guys earn their money potentially.
Yeah, we could see
potentially 13 seconds on a
Whoa! Brad Sweet on fire.
Yeah, right front's down, Marty.
Now, have these cars committed? The 31 and the 11. The caution has just come out. Look at the right front. It is just torn up. And the flames are still shooting out the right side of the car. Brad is going to bail out.
Yeah, he needs to get out of there.
11 of Elliott Sadler went all the way through pit road. The 31 did complete the stop.
Might have been the difference in Elliott staying on the lead lap and not.
Well, if you complete the stop, you could take the wave around, couldn't you, if you're in the right spot? Look at this car. It is a mess. Brad Sweet had been in the top 10 for a while in this race tonight. Let's go back and show you exactly what happened. He was running 19th at the time.
Ooh, he got hooked in the right
turned.
rear. Yeah, he got hooked.
Jeff Burton got him. Don't think there was anything intentional there, but it definitely is a bad result for Sweet.
My experience is the only way to really know if that was intentional or not is to go back 2 or 3 laps. Because Rick made a point earlier about, you know, one of the drivers getting mad at a bump, and it takes a lap or 2. It takes a lap or 2 for you to regain your composure. And sometimes if you feel like you are used up, you react to it. We don't, you know, that situation we don't have enough to know.
But you're right, because the other situation on that could be he thought he was clear and wasn't clear.
Always. And I think in some cases when you get down late in the race and you're a young driver, you don't give an inch. When you, later in your career, you've been through a lot and you say, I'll cut him a break here. Brad Sweet needed to be cut a break there.
Okay, so you can see the pit lane is still closed. Now the cars that are a lap down, Elliott Sadler is a lap down right now, and he did not complete his stop. So is Jeff Burton, Kevin LePage, Johanna Long, Justin Allgaier, Brian Scott. Of course, Scott did get his service done. But all eyes are going to be on Ryan Blaney right now, as the 19-year-old has now led a total of 61 laps tonight. Sam Hornish Jr. led 65. So there's a bonus point there that could be taken away from Sam.
You know, these pit crews, they live for this moment. Pit crews could determine the winner of tonight's race, and it's what they practice for all week long.
Remember, we talked to Michael Riggs, our over-the-wall reporter for the night, about this is a big opportunity for the pit crews as well, because none of the Cup regular pit crews are here. So it's these guys squaring off mano a mano.
It's going to surprise you that I say this, but you know, drivers have always gotten too much credit, and the crew members don't get enough credit. Crew chiefs don't get enough credit. Golly, the way they perform.
If you're Blaney and you're his crew chief, are you taking 2 or are you taking 4?
At this point, as good as he's been on 4, I'm gonna put 4 on it. But don't be surprised at the number of teams that take 2, and there are going to be teams take 2 tires here.
Well, this is the call. This is what the crew chief gets paid for, and this is the biggest decision of the night. Rick DeBrule, they're coming your way.
Well, we've talked about the Penske team and the fact that they are so good on pit stops. It is a very experienced crew out here. But remember, Ryan Blaney is a relative rookie, only 15 races. They were talking about making sure that he hits his mark. They're going to do a track bar adjustment, but the secret, and he comes up just a little bit short, has to come up. They pull a tear off the windshield. Meanwhile, they're changing tires on the right side, putting Sunoco fuel in. 2 tires only. Meanwhile, Drew Herring just ahead of him. They're going to go and make a track bar adjustment and get him back out with 4 tires.
Kenny Stockman calling for exactly 7 seconds of fuel. That's enough for 2 tires as well on the 3 car. Meanwhile, 4 tires for the 12 of Sam Hornish as they race off pit road.
No tires for Joey Coulter. He picks up 6 spots. Michael Annett picks up 6. This is going to be interesting. Herring has 4 tires. So does Crafton. So does Bowman. Come back to find out what happens. All right, back here at Kentucky Speedway, the Kentucky 300 with 33 laps to go. We are under our 6th caution. And we just got bad news for fans of that number 2 car, Brian Scott. Remember, he pitted under the green right before the caution came out. Too fast entering. He will start at the rear of the longest line.
I think this is a really interesting point in the race. 2 tires by every team toward the front. 18 car didn't take any. Not sure what Michael Annett did, but I'm going to keep my eye on Sam Hornish. On 2 tires, Sam's been pretty good. And Mike, you got an update for us on the 12?
Yeah, you know, it was an interesting strategy call by Greg Irwin. Before they came down pit road, the original call was for 4 tires. They made the audible at some point, whether it was because they were queuing off the 3 or they saw everybody else taking 2, but they did make the audible coming down pit road, came off with 2 tires, and as you look at where he stands on the board right now, it appears to be the right call.
It is Blaney, then Austin Dillon, Sam Hornish Jr. 3rd, Michael Annett 4th, Joey Coulter with no tires on that last stop, just fuel, will restart 5th. I'm wondering how long he'll stay in that 5th position, because behind him it will be Drew Herring, Ryan Vickers, Matt Crafton, Parker Kligerman, and Alex Bowman. That's your top 10.
Ryan Blaney has done such an outstanding job tonight. And most of the night he's been on 4 tires. It's going to be interesting what the balance change is with this 2-tire stop and how he handles it. Austin Dillon is really aggressive on restarts. This is going to be a shootout.
You know, one of the statistics we talked about this week that was interesting, all but 4 of the 14 Kentucky races have been won by drivers 25 years of age or younger. And here's Blaney at age 19.
Yeah, amazing.
This is Ryan's day, as he had a close call at the beginning and just kept it off the wall. Then here he is shooting past Austin Dillon. Taking care of business on Elliott Sadler to take the lead, and then he checked out. And then here is his last pit stop, stopped just a little short of the mark, slowed him down just a touch, but it didn't hurt him. Rick?
Well, let's talk about how they had a little bonding this week between the crew chief, Jeremy Bullins, and Ryan Blaney. They both went golfing this week. Bullins was making the point that it's not enough just to know what your driver could do on the track. You got to get to know him. You got to communicate with him. Now, I'll tell you, he beat him in golf, but so the golf game wasn't the critical thing. It was being out there, talking, spending time, and that communications, that comfort that they've built up between the 2 of them may pay off today.
What'd you do to communicate with your crew chief away from the track?
I tell you, I didn't golf. you know what I did. We met at Dunkin' Donut Coffee.
First-time winners here at Kentucky. David Gilliland in 06, Stephen Light in 07, Joey Logano in 08, and Austin Dillon in 2012. Now, if you're wondering if the 19-year-old Ryan Blaney would be the youngest of that group, nope. It would be Joey Logano, 18 years and 21 days. All right, a shout out to Michael Annett, as we were talking about earlier today, the Flying A in the Flying J.
He's done a nice job, and you know he's had a tough year. You think about the injuries earlier in the year, and he's been through a lot.
He has, and he has had some good results lately. And let's talk to his crew chief. How about it, Jim Noble?
Well, Felipe Lopez is the crew chief for Michael Annett. You guys have done it with a little tire strategy, a lot of stick-to-itiveness. What do you have for them at the end?
Well, I mean, we kind of knew what we wanted to do. Michael's done a great job with the car, and I knew we wanted to end on 2 tires. So caution opened up, and then we took our chances and told Michael to run hard. This is the time.
Can he make this work on 2 tires, do you think, with all the competition ahead of him?
we're actually better on 2 tires. And I've noticed there's quite a few cars. Their drivers are claiming they're better on 2 tires, so we're in good shape.
All right, one of those other drivers, guys, by the way, Joey Coulter, they took 0 tires and said they like the old tires as well.
Well, we'll have 18 cars on the lead lap now as several came around on the wave around, including Elliott Sadler and Ryan Scott and Trevor Bain. But Scott's going to have to serve that penalty and start at the rear of the longest line.
Felipe Lopez has so much experience, and he's been in the sport for years. And he made a very, very important distinction there that some cars actually drive better on 2 tires. Seems hard to believe, but remember, this track has a history of getting looser and looser, meaning the rear grip is an issue. 2 tires will typically tighten a car up. Look for cars that weren't so strong earlier or in the most recent run to show some muscle here. And I'm keeping my eye on the 12 and the 3.
And you can see all the wave arounds they've already taken off to get around the field. Scuffing tires, make sure no buildup as we get ready to go. Next time by, there will be 28 laps remaining in this race. We've had 6 different leaders with 6 lead changes and 6 cautions for a total of 34 laps and going green next time by.
I can tell you that A.J. Allmendinger, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, they're really proud of what they're seeing out of this young man, Ryan Blaney. Those 3 drivers have had a lot of influence on what this 22 team represents, what it is at the very core of the team, and they're rallying for their driver here.
So does Blaney get his first ever nationwide win? Does Austin Dillon get his 3rd win at Kentucky? Does Sam Hornish Jr. pick up win number 2 this year? And Mike Lynette get on the plus side with a win? A lot of opportunities here as the pace car pulls off. Blaney on the high side as we get ready to go green at Kentucky. Three wide down the middle of the backstretch. Crafton's going to stay right in there as well.
There's no wiggle room here, guys.
Battle for the race lead. It looks like Austin Dillon side by side. Here comes Blaney back. And here comes Sam Hornish. These 3 cars have pulled away.
Really loose.
If he'd have gotten into the 22, that would have been a mess.
Yeah, it would. Keep in mind, risk versus reward here for the 3 and the 12. Yeah, they want to win the race, but they're battling for a championship, and we get a caution.
Jeffrey Earnhardt has turned it around. Caution is out, number 7. And that is not what Blaney wanted to see, because look at the gap he had opened up.
Yeah, that was some great driving by Austin Dillon. Remember, when you get loose underneath the car, you can't immediately turn right. You can't put as much wheel into it as you would if you were all alone. Austin saved himself and saved the 22.
Here's another look at it.
That car snapped loose because of the bumps, because he drove deep in the corner.
Well, that's the best example for everybody who's wondering why those bumps are so severe. It destabilizes the car so much.
It does. Those cars drive really good when the front is sealed off. When you see the front of the car come off the racetrack and in, 3, 4, 5 inches between it and the track, that car changes the way it drives. It's dramatic.
79 makes it back to pit lane to get some fresh tires. We can tell you Johanna Long will get the free pass. She'll be the 18th car on the lead lap.
Look at all the different uniforms. It's like a collage of team members.
These uniforms are expensive.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I'm surprised at a couple of things. One, and the biggest one, is Joey Coulter is still in 5th place with no tires on that last pit stop.
The tires have all cooled down, so the first few laps aren't going to be indicative of what its potential is, but on a long run, that obviously is going to catch up with the 18 car.
While we've got a moment, let's remind you about what's coming up on the ESPN family of networks. We got AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals with qualifying 11:30 Eastern tonight right here on ESPN News. Finals 8:30 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. And it's Chase Race number 2, the Sylvania 300 at 1 Eastern tomorrow from New Hampshire. That'll be on ESPN. At 1 Eastern on ESPN2, it's the American Le Mans Circuit of the Americas. And our next stop with the NASCAR Nationwide Series will be next Saturday at Dover, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN.
So the significance of this restart is that Sam Hornish is back on the front row for the first time in a long while. Early in the race, it looked like he was the car to beat. He faded all the way back to 6th, and now he's rallying late.
So again, it is an all Penske front row. Just the way they started the race, except it was Hornish on pole and Blaney right alongside. Lights are still on, so we're going for at least one more.
It's interesting. You got 19-year-old Ryan Blaney, against 34-year-old Sam Hornish Jr. You got pure aggression versus experience.
How big do you think the butterflies are in Blaney's stomach right now?
They honestly don't exist. You know, they can overwhelm you before the race starts, but when you strap in and fire up that engine, or actually when you put the window net up, it goes away. It's all business, and he's at his best.
Let's
right
listen
here.
in on the 22 radio.
The speedy dry in 3 and 4 is right where you enter in the top lane, and that really hurt me. So hopefully that got a lot better. Been on it for a couple laps.
All right, he's referring to the oil dry from the prior caution.
I mean, he's aware of everything, you know, and you have to study the racetrack. You have to understand where you could be vulnerable or where you might lose the race. You have to understand where you're strong, where you're weak, and protect yourself.
Brad Keselowski, remember, won the race back in June in that number 22, and the 12th crew took that setup from the June race, put it on the 12th car this week, and it has paid big dividends. They're on the front row. Behind them, it is Dillon, Herring, Coulter, Crafton. That's your top 6. Get ready. Pace car is off, and we are going green at Kentucky.
Brad's in pretty good shape. I'm sorry, excuse me. Ryan Blaney in pretty good shape on the exit of turn 2.
Hornish clear in second. The battle now for third. The 54 of Drew Herring. Now Herring has 4 tires. And here comes the 33 of Matt Crafton.
Really interesting. You know what you're going to give up with that 4-tire stop in the way of track position. What are you going to get on the other end?
Crafton also with 4 tires. So they're the 2 best cars that took 4 on that prior caution. So far, the 2-tire cars are holding down first, second, and third.
Whenever I see Matt Crafton, I often wonder, you know, how good might he have been if he had gotten an opportunity in the Nationwide Series or in Cup earlier in his career. He's having a remarkable season in the truck series, and he sure has done a great job the little bit we've seen of him in the Nationwide this year.
37 years old. His best was 3rd back here at Kentucky in the earlier race this year, and then he ran 10th at Chicago earlier in the season.
Drew Herring is doing a great job. We talked before the race began about the pressure that's going to be on Ryan Blaney and Drew Herring with this Owners Championship on the line. And I'll tell you what, both of them have been well represented.
The good news for Drew Herring is he's running 4th. The bad news is Ryan Blaney is running 1st.
Yeah, so it might seem like a hollow victory if he comes home with the top 5, but nothing to be ashamed of. That's it.
The 22. That's Blaney's crew chief, Jeremy Mullins, he is just a nervous wreck.
Well, imagine if you can win with 4 different drivers in the same season.
Especially with a 19-year-old rookie. How about it, Rick DeBrule?
thing I have to tell you is that this position for Jeremy Mullins is nothing new. He has been there all race long. We got a spin on the track. It's Regan Smith.
Yes, he's turned it around, and look out. Everybody's splitting the difference. And boy, for Regan, the 1.5 miles have just been awful. He has not scored a top 5 this year on the 1.5 miles. He was running 9th when this happened.
You see the sparks. That was, again, the bottoming out. Great job by Alex Bowman. Whoa. Oh my gosh, it's instinct. Trust me, you can't think about this. You just react. We're on board with Brian Scott, and that's difficult.
Keep it down. If you kept it down, it would have turned right into it.
You know what I used to tell my spotter? Don't tell me where to go. Tell me where the car that's spinning is. Because I got the steering wheel. And that's hard because the spotter is trying to protect you. But tell me where the car is and let me handle the rest of it.
So Regan Smith still under power, but our 8th caution here with now 17 laps to go. Smith has never been better than 16th here at Kentucky in all of his prior races.
I'm hearing the 12 car might have gotten a warning.
Yeah, NASCAR is just letting them know about the rule that you know, they got to wait till they get to the restart zone, and the leader does get the opportunity to go first.
Yeah.
But once the green flag is dropped, then everybody can hammer down, and there is the restart zone. First line on your right, and if you don't go by that line on the left, well, then the starter will take control of the race himself. And he'll just wave the flag, and everybody else may wave goodbye to you.
Yeah, that gap between the 2 stripes and the 1 stripe, that's called poker. And the leader is not going to make it obvious. You know, he's going to mix it up every restart.
Several cars are taking the chance to pit. Brian Scott is one of them. Jim?
Yeah, Brian Scott is extremely frustrated right now. They went a lap down after that speeding penalty, and it has just not been a happy time on the radio. So he came in, they figured, why not? Let's get some tires on it, get a windshield tear off. But Brian Scott thought what he thought was a golden opportunity kind of go up in smoke with that speeding penalty and the ill-timed caution when they were on pit road.
Yeah, he's shown in 20th right now. Rick?
Yeah, sitting here with Jeremy Mullins. Let's talk about your Ryan Blaney out there and the fact that he's done a great job so far. Has he made any mistakes at all?
No, I don't think he's made a single mistake. Kid's pretty good. Discount Tire Mustang's been really good all night. Managed to keep our track position here at the end when we need it. And hopefully we can survive the next 15 or so laps and make it to the end.
All right, once again, Jeremy Mullins got a good driver out there who's managed to do a great job on each restart. Think of all the restarts that he's been on, and whether it was the inside or the outside, he's pulled it off.
He's actually saving some fuel.
Well, you
just
never
in
know.
case there's a green-white checker.
Exactly, or more than one. I was sitting with Ryan Blaney earlier and Jeremy Mullins, and I mentioned to Ryan, you know, it's really difficult to think about all you guys having, you know, it seemed like that long ago, playing with my kids at MRO. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, do we have to talk about this? Really, do we have to talk about this? But I'm telling you, these young men who had great leadership from their dads, they paid attention while they were here as kids. They studied the sport. They have a passion for the sport. And my gosh, are they capitalizing.
That's what this Nationwide Series is all about.
Yeah.
You're watching some of the future stars of the Sprint Cup Series, and they're molding their craft. And young Ryan Blaney is just one of the examples, and there have been many. Austin Dillon, of course, we know where his future lies. And it's Kyle Larson is going to get his chance next year to strut his stuff. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has moved up. It's been a bit of a struggle for him making that adjustment. There's nothing easy about the top level of this sport, but that's what makes this so much fun for all of us is, you know, we can look at these young kids and say, yeah, I remember when.
Yeah, and think about what he's done. At 19 years of age, regardless of whether he wins this or not, he's gone up against Sam Hornish. He's gone up against the Elliott Sadler, Brian Vickers experience throughout the field, and he's doing a remarkable job.
I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. The old days when I used to do the Mickey Thompson Stadium Series, a young 16-year-old kid got his first win in a Stadium Super Late. You know what his kid's name was? Jimmy Johnson.
And like Jeff Gordon, he became pretty darn good, didn't he?
Pretty darn good. Here we go. All right, Ryan Blaney on the high side. It's Sam Hornish, then Austin Dillon, and Drew Herring.
Yeah, this could be the race. Oh, you want to run wide open from here.
Oh, look out. Sam is getting loose. He's going to lose some spots.
Gosh, we've seen that over and over.
What a save, though, to keep it from going into the wall.
Amazing save.
This is the first time in a long time where this late race aggressiveness has cost him. It has paid big dividends until tonight. He's going to lose quite a few spots, but Blaney has opened up about 4 car lengths.
Sam saved himself.
Oh, look out.
That's
This
going to
is
be
not
ugly.
going to work. Kligerman into the wall. And we now have another caution on the track. On board with Parker as he has come to a stop. He's down in turn number 1 and right up against the wall. Kevin LePage will get the free pass this time. That'll put 20 cars. Let's go back to Sam Hornish's save. Keep an eye on the 12th.
Right there, actually maybe a little bit below the apron. And he had the car crossed up in front of the field. When you turn right, obviously you're trying to catch up with the car, and you're going to go up the racetrack.
And then here's what happened to the 77.
And we're going to have to see that again. But it got crowded through the dog leg. Front stretch has that kink, and you can see trying to force it 3 wide. Marty, you got to help me out there, buddy. I
couldn't see the car number either, quite honestly. I was looking to see who it was that actually got into him. We think we're hearing it was the 18 of Joey Coulter. Maybe Parker might give us an idea if he hangs around for everybody to come back around. Guarantee you he is not a happy camper.
20 laps to go. Drivers become narrow-minded and a little bit selfish, and that's what you're paid to do. Now, you can take risk and you can take chances, and then at the end of the night, then you have to discuss whether they are unnecessary risks or unnecessary chances. But it is what you do as a driver.
Let's correct it. Word from NASCAR, it was the 44 of Cole Witt. So I'm glad we were able to clear that up. As we continue under the 9th caution. Oh yeah, you can see the number now as we go into the slow-mo on this different angle.
Yeah, it wasn't good judgment. You know, it just wasn't good judgment at that point in the racetrack. Yeah, you know, but 20 laps to go. 20 laps to go. You do go. Sometimes you don't. You don't think.
And then Parker's reaction. Is what's left of the 77. All right, so right now we have 11 laps to go, but obviously we still got some cleanup to take care of. And again, another restart coming up, but this time it'll be Blaney and Austin Dillon up front. Sam Hornish Jr. slipped back to 7th after getting below the line and almost taking it to the wall. So what it does to the points as of right now, cuts it down to 12 between leader Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon. And while we've got a moment, we've got another tweet from Brad Keselowski, who's staying up late to see the end of this one. Looks like I should stick to watching Nationwide race.
I don't think so. You've done just fine. But I'm certain Brad's really proud of what he's seeing from this 19-year-old young man.
I'll tell you what, we better sing the praises of Jeremy Bullins and this crew.
Oh, there's no question.
The number of guys they have taken to victory lane in this car, that is astounding. Because everybody, as you well know, drives a little bit differently.
Every one of them have a different style, requires something different. And it's very, very easy for a crew chief to say, look, this is what we've done, adapt to it. But there's no way that's what we've seen out of Jeremy.
Think about this. Let's go through the top 5. Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Matt Crafton, Alex Bowman, Drew Herring. How many Nationwide Series winners in that group? Just one. Austin Dillon, twice here at Kentucky.
Interesting.
So our chances of having another first-time winner are basically 4 out of 5. Find out though, because Austin Dillon right alongside Ryan Blaney. Pace car is in. This time by, there'll be 9 laps remaining.
Ready.
We're green. Hornish trying to make it 3 wide. And he got by Vickers.
Sam Hornish is thinking points right now. Jeb Burton just went 3 wide and made a pass on 2 cars. And Jeb Burton keeps this up, he's going to get his top 10 finish that he told me he was looking for. And what a debut that would be.
Look at Hornish trying to get underneath now Alex Bowman as he is trying to take over the 4th position. And he does.
And he does.
So meanwhile, up front, Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon have a nice little battle going, although now, as you can see, Blaney has opened up a little bit of a gap. And then 3rd is Matt Crafton. Crafton with the 4 tires. 7 laps to go. Let's try 3 wide at the middle of the pack. That's Regan Smith. The 2 of Brian Scott. The 6, Trevor Bayne. Whoa, and the 31 of Allgaier got loose.
Yeah, he's had his hands full all night. Drivers working hard to get a top 10. Makes the trip home a little more tolerable.
Allgaier and Scott and Smith are running 13th and 14th right now.
Look at the right side of Justin Allgaier's car. He has used it up.
And there is Elliott Sadler as again not getting the kind of results that he has wanted. He's running 16th. Going underneath Drew Herring. That is for 6th.
Drew fighting back on the high side.
Five laps to go. This battle has settled down with Herring getting control of the position. In fact, quite honestly, looking through the top 5, it has settled down. Meanwhile, deeper in the field, Trevor Bayne and Justin Allgaier, they're duking it out for 15th.
I have seen drivers work harder tonight than I've seen them work on 1.5-mile tracks in a long time. No free lunches tonight on this track.
30 car PK, he is well off the pace. 6 laps down in 27th. He's not a factor in that 2-car battle. Whoa, and again, Allgaier gets a little loose, has to get out of the throttle.
That ugly wiggle getting into the corner, particularly underneath another car, I think is the most difficult of any position a driver can be in on the racetrack.
3 laps to go for 19-year-old Ryan Blaney. He's got this car on a rail right now. Look at the gap over Austin Dillon, a 2-time winner here at Kentucky.
I said earlier that AJ, Joey, and Brad had won with authority in this 22, and let me tell you, we're seeing authority out of Ryan Blaney. Gosh, he's done a great job.
Bullens can't sit down. 2 laps remaining. Just 3 miles separating this youngster from his first Nationwide Series win. A.J. Allmendinger, Brad Keselowski. I mean, what a group that he is joining as a winner in this 22 car. Coming through turn number 4. Another first-time winner in the Nationwide Series at Kentucky. It's Ryan Blaney.
One more lap to finish it up, buddy.
I'm sorry, white flag, white flag.
But you know what? He's got a big enough lead that he's going to be fine. And I have been so impressed with the job he's done. And there were plenty of opportunities to fold on all these restarts. He was tested by Sam Hornish. He was tested by Austin Dillon. And in the end, he answers the bell. And he's going to get his first Cup career Nationwide Series win.
He absolutely is. Here he comes. First-time winner. 5th time here at Kentucky that we've seen it happen. Does it in style over Austin Dillon, Matt Crafton, Sam Hornish Jr., and a great run for Alex Bowman in 5th. Expected some hooping and hollering on the radio, but
I expect the rear tires to be burned off this car because that's what 19-year-olds do.
Let's check in with Rick DeBrule.
Well, we're standing here with Jeremy Mullins, who just did a massive inhale and exhale. What does it feel like to take your 4th different driver to victory circle this year?
I just told him I've been getting paid to do this since 1999, and I think that's my 13th win as a crew chief and probably, I don't know, 30th win overall. I don't even know, but I've never been more proud of a win than this one right here. That kid's something else. Did a great job. This discount tire Mustang was flawless all night. Guys on pit road did an awesome job, and I can't say enough about the job he did.
Let's talk about the restarts, because he was tested over and over again.
Yeah, but he's tough. He's fine.
All right, once again, Ryan Blaney, a tough kid with a victory in Nationwide.
His first win in his 15th start at the age of 19. Young Ryan Blaney, his previous best finish, 2nd back in Texas, November of last year.
Bobby Allison told me when I was a kid, good job. You'll never forget your first win. And that's exactly what Ryan is experiencing here tonight. You'll never forget that first win.
The 22 car has now scored 10 wins this season with 4 different drivers. Of course, the 54 has 10 wins with Kyle Busch at the helm. And as far as the Owners' Championship, it is now a 23-point gap with that car, the 22, ahead of the 54. So you can see the jubilation on the face of a first-time winner, and we'll talk to him when we come back to Kentucky. All right, next week, the NASCAR Nationwide Series heads to Dover International Speedway. For tickets to that event and other upcoming races on the schedule, just go to NASCAR.com/tickets. If you can't be there, well, tune in at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. All right, let's check in with Rick DeBrule. I'm sorry, check in with Mike Massaro.
Okay, we'll check in with the guy who finished 2nd as well, and that would be Austin Dillon. I know you really, win at all costs. That was the goal today. But the 22 car was just so good. Take me through that final restart, trying to keep up with him.
Yeah, I didn't want to have what happened to Sam. He sucked us down pretty close. So I tried to get through there as good as I could. And, his car was just really good. They've been great all year, 22 team. It's been fun racing against them. It's tough to beat them. So we're working hard. Advocate Chevrolet was good. We're getting closer and closer. I think we're going to knock one down for sure. We run like that. Restarts were good. Everything was good tonight. It's just there was one car better than us.
Takes home the 2nd place finish, and in the process, Austin Dillon cuts his deficit down to 15 points. Jim?
Well, Mike, we do want to document that Parker Kligerman is out of the infield care center. And, okay, describe what happened. You and the 44 car near the end.
Well, first off, congrats to Ryan Blaney. It's really cool. See a young kid get the opportunities like that and take the hold of them and go out and win. You know, those Penske cars have just been the class of the field week in, week out. But if you look here, I mean, we go up to break the draft, and he shoves the nose in, which is never going to work. I mean, anytime you've watched anything happen at this racetrack, you go down into turn 1 and 2, and you're fighting for one groove, and he just shoved his nose in where it didn't belong. You know, for what he makes up, or lacks in size, he makes up for being a big idiot each week. So, you know, he's kind of falling down the ride spectrum, and it makes sense. That's how he races.
All right, a frustrated Parker Kligerman, but glad he's okay, guys.
All right, thank you, Jim. As we get ready to head for victory lane, Ryan Blaney, we mentioned earlier, led all of 65 laps this year in the Truck Series. He led 96 tonight in his first nationwide win. Rick?
How do you like this? Ryan Blaney stepping out, standing on the ledge. His very first nationwide victory ever. He's got his Sunoco flag. We got to come up and talk about this victory, Ryan Blaney, because you earned it every step of the way. First off, let's talk about all those restarts. What did you learn?
I learned it's tough. You know, it was really tough to hold on to lead, even if you're on the outside. You know, and you had to really keep the guy pinned down there. And there was a couple hairy situations on those restarts, but you know, everyone here at Penske Racing has done an awesome job giving me a great discount tire Ford. You know, everyone who helps out in this thing, Hertz, SKF, you know, especially Ford for coming on board. So we're really fortunate to be able to drive for these guys, and fourth drifting driver to win in this car. So that's very cool. It just shows how good this team is, and I really hope we can get that owners championship.
All right, we've been talking to Jeremy Bullins all night, and he's been giving credit to all kinds of people for this victory. What do you think Jeremy Bullins has meant in terms of a crew chief to this victory?
You know, he's been huge. You know, he's been you know, one of the biggest deals to make this team successful. You know, he's a great guy. He's very smart, and when you put a smart guy and a great organization together, this is what you get, 10 wins in a season. So hopefully we can make it more. But like I said, very proud of my guys and Penske Racing and Discount Tire and Ford for all the help they give us.
Finally, I got to ask, how does it feel?
I don't know right now. You know, we're kind of speechless right now, but you know, it's just awesome to be able to do this, and wish my dad was here, but I got the rest of my family here, so that's pretty cool too.
All right, once again, Ryan Blaney, 19 years old, and his very first nationwide victory.
And
how many more?
Somehow I think Dad knows.
And, you know, I am so happy for the family, a great family. Marty, thank you. I've had a great time this year and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's our last standalone. My fun with you also. My pleasure. Tomorrow, second race of the chase, the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Our coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Now, coming up next, college football. It's Wyoming versus Air Force. It's already in progress. This has been a presentation of ESPN. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us. Till we meet again.